The Boston College Eagles take the field, the surprise team of college football. Under Coach Tom Coughlin, the Eagles, picked no better than fourth in the Big East Conference, are one of a handful of unbeaten teams remaining in college football. BC 7-0-1, ranked 9th in the country. And to say they've captured the imagination of Boston is an understatement. The Eagles, the darling of New England. And now Lou Holtz and his 8th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame ready to take the field before the faithful. The Irish facing the first of 3 crucial games remaining in this 1992 season. Notre Dame already a loser to Stanford at home, a tie to Michigan at home. This game and one more remaining at Notre Dame Stadium for the Irish to try to salvage what has been, in some minds, a disappointing campaign. Lou Holtz has been under fire from some quarters. Some said he played for a tie against Michigan. Some said he went too far with a hammerlock on an official. Maybe the signs of stress starting to tell on Lou Holtz. But Notre Dame trying to rally for one final push for national recognition. Many of the players saying this is the chance for them to prove themselves to their fans and to all the others in college football. And here come the Irish. South Bend, game time temperature 1 degree below freezing. It's not going to get much warmer, and a chance of snow flurries before the day is over. Hello, everyone, and welcome to South Bend. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth. You know this is a big game when you see a sign that says the Pope needs 4 tickets. And look at this, an hour before game time, spraying silicone on the goalposts. Should an excited Irish or even Boston College fan try to tear them down, they'll slide right off. Another indication that this is indeed an important game. In fact, it's a crossroads for Notre Dame. They were picked by many to win the national championship. Most schools, a record of 6-1-1 would be great. Not so at Notre Dame. To many, it's a disappointment. As we said, Lou Holtz has felt intense pressure. And you have the idea that this has not been a fun season for Holtz or for his team. Yet they have 3 ranked opponents remaining: Boston College, Penn State, and Southern Cal. One more win guarantees them an appearance in a New Year's Day bowl. A sweep could put them in the top 5, and all would be well again. Chris, for Boston College, it has been a dream season. Best start since 1942. They're for real.
And you just can't say enough about the job that their head coach, Tom Coughlin, has done. In the 2 years before he showed up at BC, they had a combined only 5 wins. And now in just 2 years under Coughlin, they're on the verge of a national championship. And they've done it with one of the most innovative, creative offenses that I've seen in a long, long time. You're going to enjoy watching BC today.
Jerome Bettis, the All-American fullback of Notre Dame, will not start. He has an ankle injury. We will be seeing 2 top running backs. They may be under-publicized, but Chucky Dukes and Reggie Brooks are outstanding.
Yeah, Reggie Brooks is averaging 8 yards per carry, and that is more than the 2 top Heisman Trophy candidates, Marshall Faulk and Garrison Hurst. On the other side, Chucky Dukes, 7 straight 100-yard rushing games, has almost single-handedly put Boston College back in the national championship hunt.
Let's go down to John Dockery.
You know, Tom, this Boston College team is an inspired team, inspired by their coach, inspired by success, and inspired by a fallen teammate. Jay McGillis, former defensive back, died just 4 months ago of leukemia. His teammates wear his 31 on their jerseys in memory of him. His locker in Boston, a shrine of sorts with jersey and equipment sealed away to preserve his memory. A young man who teammates remember as always giving of himself. Even when he was dying, he left this message behind for family, for friends, for teammates. I would like the memory of me to be a happy one. I would like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I would like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I would like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories when I leave, when life is done.
Thoughts of Jay McGillis on the minds of BC players as they step onto the most hallowed turf in college football, the house that Rocky built, Notre Dame Stadium. Right now there's a clock problem that the officials are huddling concerning and explaining it to the 2 head coaches. And of course, this is a time for Boston College to prove themselves. They did once on the road, winning at Penn State. A win at Notre Dame, the first ever for BC against the Irish, would be huge indeed for the Cinderella team of this 1992 season. There's their quarterback. Glenn Foley has developed into one of the best signal callers in the college game.
It'll be interesting to see if Boston College can maintain their poise to open the game. So many times this year we've seen teams come in and in the first 4 or 5 minutes really lose their composure and put themselves way behind.
Notre Dame to kick off. Hendrick will send it. And it is a deep kick all the way into the end zone where Chucky Dukes will down it. So let's take a look at the Boston College starting offensive lineup. 6th in the U.S. in total offense, led by Foley, who hits 57% of his passes, 11 TDs, 7 interceptions. Here's the remaining lineup. Dukes, leading ground gainer, 7 straight 100-yard games, over 1,000 yards for the season. Tight end Mitchell, the #1 receiver. And the offensive line, they call them the mass movers. They all come from the greater Boston area. Redshirt freshmen Landry and Kendall have been pleasant surprises. First down at the 20, BC. You'll see a lot of shifting, a lot of motion. There's a good example. 3 wide, set right. Hand off to Dukes. Dukes for a hole, gets 4 yards before he's stopped by Demetrius DuBose. Here's the Notre Dame defensive starting lineup. McDonald leads the Irish in sacks. He has 5. Anthony Peterson, top tackler, but remember, All-American DuBose missed 2 games with an NCAA suspension. In the secondary, Carter and Burris tied as the top interceptors. They have 4 each. Freshman Taylor starting his 4th game this afternoon. Foley straight back to pass. And not close to a receiver. In fact, Demetrius DuBose was the closest to it. Chris, it looked like Foley just misread that time.
It may be a little case of nerves. He was very adamant about the fact that this game was so important to him and so important to Boston College. They went in, knocked off Penn State to give themselves a shot at least at the national championship. They're looking for a January 1 type of bowl game. And that man, Tom Coughlin, he feels the pressure as well.
3rd and 6. Reset. And to Dukes. Hit by one man and bounces off, but will get only back to the line of scrimmage. Demetrius DuBose ready to play to start this game. Devon McDonald hit him first, and then DuBose put the clincher on him, and Coughlin will have to punt.
Watch Demetrius DuBose on this play. He had it read all the way. Number 31 will step up, avoid 2-3 blockers, and still make the play on Chucky Dukes.
Here's the punt by Beckley. Miller watches it bounce, and it takes a Boston College bounce all the way inside the Notre Dame 35-yard line. So now Notre Dame will get its offensive unit on the field after that 42-yard punt. There's Rick Meyer directing the #2 offense in college football. Averaging over 481 yards a game. Meyer now hitting 50% of his passes. Brooks, the top rusher, 864 yards. Zellers starts in place of the injured Bettis. Dawson, the leading receiver. Up front, Todd Norman playing with a soft cast on his broken right thumb. Brooks, nothing there. Boston College stacking it up right at the line of scrimmage. The center of the line led by John Stolberg, stopping Reggie Brooks for no gain. Here's the BC defense, ranked 7th in college football. Up front, Marinaro has been a force on the defensive line. McManus and Boyd, the inside backers, the 2 leading tacklers. And in the secondary, Brennan, with 5 interceptions, ranked 6th in all of college football. Double wide, set right. Brooks on a wing this time. Meyer has the completion for a first down. Blake Dawson with his 22nd reception of the season. And Notre Dame, after a 20-yard strike, Meyer to Dawson, is in BC territory.
Number 87, Lake Dawson, getting a lot of room to operate. We talked about the zone defenses of Notre Dame in the pregame show. Well, here Boston College comes out. They play predominantly zone. Lake Dawson will have to be a key factor in this one today.
Double wides left, I formation, Notre Dame on first down. Brooks hit behind the line and dropped. Great defensive play as Jason Pahopek from an outside linebacker spot got penetration to stop Brooks for a loss on the play.
Tom, this is no fluke. Boston College has been one of the top defenses in the entire country all season long. As you can see, points allowed, 4th in the nation, allowing just about 12 points a game. Great against the run, total defense 7th in the nation. This is just a tremendous matchup between a great defense and one of the best offenses in the country.
Split backs this time, 2nd and long. Meyer, wide open, Irv Smith. Smith breaks tackles to the 35, where he's finally tackled from behind by Tom McManus. Big Irv Smith, the tight end, breaking tackles for a 17-yard gain.
And finally, we get some idea of why Irv Smith is considered to be the best tight end in the country. He is a big, big man, 6'4", 246 pounds, and you cannot arm tackle this guy. Breaks 1, breaks 2 tackles. Nice big gain again after being ineffective on first down. They come back with a big 2nd down pass.
13 catch by Smith. Here's Jerome Bettis on his first appearance of the game, all the way inside the 20 at BC. Bettis puts a charge in the running game. Dan Kerr made a saving tackle for the Eagles. It was 13 yards as Bettis hobbled by an ankle injury, breaking tackles, and now leaves the game.
Yeah, and Lou Holtz did his best to convince us yesterday that Jerome Bettis simply would not be healthy enough to play in this one. What a surprise to see him here in this first drive.
Mays and Jarrell wide right. First down play, I formation. Reggie Brooks with his best gain of the day behind the block of Ray Zellers.
This is what Steve Szabo told me that he was going to have to do to try and shut down the running game of Notre Dame. Strong safety Eric Shorter came on a blitz. They are going to constantly send 8 people on first down and try and force Notre Dame to throw the football.
2 tight ends, Smith and McBride in on 2nd and 7. Brooks with that patented spin, stopped just short of the 10. He will be short of the first down. Jason Pahopek managed to trip him up. There is Reggie Brooks, averaging 8.1 yards a carry coming into today's game. One of the top running backs in college football, although he is the 2nd in terms of carries. Jerome Bettis has carried more times than has Reggie Brooks on the season. And Jerome Bettis now returns to the game, and Jeff Burris is in too. Burris, normally a safety as you look at Jerome Bettis. They line up now in that full house, old style T formation on 3rd and 2. Bettis has the first down.
Tom, Notre Dame has become one of the most effective 3rd down teams in all the country. 3rd and 1, they have been 11 for 11 this year and have only been stopped once on 3rd and 2. They're 3rd and 2. You see them effective once again. And in the red zone, Notre Dame almost unstoppable.
Here's Lee Becton on to replace Reggie Brooks. It'll be 1st and goal from the Boston College 9. Notre Dame's first possession of the game after the Eagles punted off the opening kickoff. Meyer to pass. Becton for the touchdown.
Out in a 9-man front. Everybody up to try and stop the run. Lee Becton was left all alone in the right flat.
4th touchdown of the season for Lee Becton as Hendrick tries the extra point. Up and through. An impressive opening drive by Notre Dame. Rick Meyer adds to his Notre Dame leading total with his 38th career touchdown pass as they cross up the BC defense. Meyer to Becton, and Notre Dame leads Boston College 7-0.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Subaru, it's what to drive. By Budweiser, the king of beers. With that fresh, pure, natural taste, nothing beats a Bud. By Xerox, the document company. and by the 25th anniversary diamond, a brilliant celebration of the loving marriage.
Notre Dame 7, Boston College nothing after the Irish go 66 yards with the kind of offense everyone expected them to distribute throughout the season. Here's Hendrick's kick taken in the end zone by Dukes and down there. Let's go back to the touchdown pass, Meyer to Becton.
Here you're going to see Jason Pahopek get fooled on this play. The play action all comes this way. Lee Becton slides out of the backfield and is able to come up with the easy touchdown. Play fake right at him. Pahopek fooled all the way. No problem.
Teams, of course, study tendencies, and I can't remember, Chris, Notre Dame passing from that full house T formation all season.
And Steve Sabo, the defensive coordinator at BC, said passing is not Notre Dame's deal. They won't beat us throwing the football. When that first drive, they did.
Boston College now tries to answer on the Eagles' second possession. Dwight Shirley in on this series. Rips off 5 yards on his first carry of the game before he's stopped by the Irish Anthony Peterson, who gets his 61st tackle of the season. That leads all Notre Dame defensive players.
Yeah, Shirley was telling me that he remembers Tom Coughlin's first meeting at BC, and he was telling everyone to sit up straight, to take off their hats, and he said, we will have no fat people on this team. He said all the offensive linemen started looking around the room saying, uh-oh.
The offensive line has been a source of strength for BC. The mass movers all from the greater Boston area. Foley rolls. Fires incomplete. Wide of his intended receiver, Keith Miller. And looked like good coverage from Notre Dame as well, led by Demetrius DeBose, the linebacker, back in his pass zone.
And I talked with Tom Carter, the defensive back, the cornerback for Notre Dame, and he said our entire game plan today is to force BC to throw to the guy that I'm covering. I'll be in man-to-man coverage all day. Everyone else will basically be zoning off. It's up to me to win my battle one-on-one. That time he did.
Carter, the junior out of St. Petersburg, has 4 interceptions, including a big one in the end zone against Michigan, the Irish first home game of the season. Foley ducks away from the rush and scrambles out of there back to the 30-yard line. He made about a 4-yard gain out of it. DuBose was coming. McDonald was there. Somehow Foley got free and gained just a yard short of the first down.
So far, one serious dose of reality for Boston College. They've been so effective all season, and I touched on it before the opening kickoff, that so many times teams come in here in the first 5 or 10 minutes of a football game and look rattled. I think Boston College fits into that category as well.
4th and about 2 feet to go for the first, but deep in their own territory, and Boston College with the punt taken by Miller and returned to the Notre Dame 30. So the Irish will have the ball for the second time in the game after a 44-yard punt and a 3-yard return. Notre Dame defensive coordinator Rick Minter fine-tuning his defensive unit a bit. They've been outstanding so far, forcing 2 Boston College punts. First down give to Jerome Bettis. And Bettis rips off about 5 yards. Let's go to John Dockery.
Thank you, Tom. And Jerome Bettis, if you look at his left ankle, you see how wide it is. It's heavily taped. He's also wearing this brace, which helps the ankle not to rotate so that he can practically not hurt it again. And I just talked to Dr. Will Yerger, and he said Jerome Bettis was cleared earlier in the week. The reason he didn't start was Lou Holtz rule that if you don't practice Monday, Tuesday, and the whole week, that you can't start. But he is cleared to play. He is at full speed. We'll see a lot of him today.
Here's a pitch to Brooks, who had lined up on a wing back left, and Brooks cuts back. Caught from behind. Reggie Brooks to the 45 of Boston College. Finally tackled by Dan Kerr.
You just get the feeling that Lou Holtz didn't like all the attention that Tom Coughlin has been getting during the course of the week. Here's a new wrinkle. We haven't seen this. Reggie Brooks lines up on the wing, swings all the way around. Jerome Bettis with a nice block. And Brooks adds to that 8 yards per carry average.
That one ripped off 18. That was a play that BYU had when they played the Irish here at Notre Dame Stadium. Meyer, quick drop. Pollard with the reception. William Pollard falls forward for about a 9-yard gain. Pollard only his 3rd reception of the season. Notre Dame continues to move the football. Let's go to Jim Lampley for an update.
All right, Tom, Texas, as you know, has beaten TCU 24 straight times. But after that 8-yard touchdown pass from Leon Clay to Stephen Shipley in Fort Worth, the Horned Frogs lead 14-0. Meanwhile, Shane Matthews has a 70-yarder to Willie Jackson. Florida leads 7-3 over Southern Mississippi. Tom?
All right, Jim, Florida with a big win over Georgia a week ago. Here's Meyer, wide open to Bettis. One man to beat. Bettis beats him. Touchdown.
This is absolutely brilliant stuff by Lou Holtz. You see the fake to Becton. Bettis right through the line of scrimmage. Absolutely no one to pick him up. This has been a very, very creative game plan so far by Lou Holtz.
And Hendrick with his second extra point. Bettis. 14-0.
This Heisman Trophy moment is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. First-year Irish coach Ara Parsegian gave John Ewart the starting quarterback's job in 1964, and the senior took college football by surprise. Ewart shined as a senior and wound up winning the Heisman over bigger names, thus creating a bit of controversy. Ewart began the season a virtual unknown, but ended it a Heisman Trophy winner.
6 for 6. He says only his first one of the day. And so far, the Irish putting together a sparkling first quarter. Hendrick with the kickoff. And for the third time, Dukes will down it in the end zone. Here's another look at the touchdown.
Here, Jerome Bettis is right here. He's going to sneak out and work his way here. Irv Smith will go here, drawing the safety man over. They'll do a play fake here, and you're going to see Jerome Bettis come absolutely wide open. This, of course, off the fake that Reggie Brooks picked up 18 yards earlier, and there is simply no one there to cover Jerome Bettis.
And then he completely undresses Joe Kamara to get into the end zone for the longest touchdown of his career. Foley's pass complete on first down to Gordon Larrow, the backup tight end, and he has about 9 yards before he's tackled by Peterson, Burris, and DuBose.
Well, now Boston College has their work cut out for them, and they go right back to what we have seen throughout the course of this season as being successful against this Notre Dame defense, and that's the short crossing routes, the quick hits underneath the zone defense. Tom Coughlin trying to work that area now.
The Dukes behind blocking. He has a first down. He got about 4 yards on the play before he was stopped by Peterson and Lane. The initial first down of the game for Boston College.
And the two plays that Rick Minner said that they had to be able to stop with Chucky Dukes was the toss sweep that you saw there, and also a zone blocking cutback play, which they haven't run yet.
5:50 remaining in the opening quarter. Notre Dame has touched the ball twice. They have 2 touchdowns. 14-0 Irish. Play action pass. Foley under pressure. Ball loose. Notre Dame has it at the 20. Brian Hamilton fell on the football that was knocked loose by Carmelia McGill.
Just get the feeling that Boston College was a little overhyped for this game. They seem to be out of sorts, very uncomfortable playing here at Notre Dame Stadium. As you see Foley standing in the pocket too long, then looking down at McGill. He had time to get that one off. As a matter of fact, he had a receiver open down the field. He's a little jumpy in the pocket.
2 tight end formation on first down. Reggie Brooks at the 20. And then driven back by the center of the BC defense. Tom McManus, Stephen Boyd, the 2 middle linebackers, John Stolberg, the nose guard. As Foley off to a disappointing start. His fumble giving Notre Dame another scoring opportunity.
Here comes Jerome Bettis off the field. He may be done for the day now once you get that ankle injury. The one thing that Lou Holtz was concerned about, this is a slick field. It was snowing earlier today here, and he really did not want to play Jerome Bettis if he didn't have to. May not see him again.
His replacement, Ray Zellers, on the carry. Zellers gets 3 or 4 yards before Tom McManus comes up to make another tackle. McManus, the All-American candidate, the senior from Edgewater, Florida, although he grew up in the New England area. Now with 100 tackles on the season. He had 13 a week ago against Temple.
Boston College has to hold here. They cannot afford to get down 21-0 in the first quarter. At the very least, you have to stop them and hope they miss the field goal.
3rd and 5. Option play. Meyer keeps. Touchdown.
This is turning into a massacre early. Steve Szabo said, like many other defensive coordinators, that the play that he's the most afraid of is Rick Meyer running the option. And there you see why.
Hendrick for the extra point. 21-0. Remember, this is against the 7th-ranked defense in college football. Notre Dame has rocked Boston College for 21 first-quarter points. Number 3 is Rick Meyer, who has hit all 5 of his passes so far, including 2 touchdown tosses. He just rushed for a score on the option. The Notre Dame students have been chanting overrated toward the Boston College Eagles, 9th ranked in the country, and shocked. 21-0. Hendrick's kick will be taken by Justice Smith at the goal line. Smith plows his way beyond the 21 to the 22. Well, we don't want to temper the enthusiasm of the Irish fans, but as Chris Collinsworth was saying in the pregame show, they have in some games had big leads only to lose them. Here's an example here at Notre Dame Stadium last season. They were up similarly 21-0 over Tennessee in the first quarter, wound up losing by a point. So the object now for the Irish is to hold this big lead they have built. But I have the feeling that this is a different Lou Holtz coach team we've seen today. They look outstanding. Foley's pass across the middle and complete. Caught by Brian Saxton, a backup tight end. Let's go to Jim Lampley for a college football update.
All right, Tom, Maryland has attracted notice for its near misses this year. 5 losses by less than a touchdown. No such frustration today. That was Charlie Ward's 3rd touchdown pass in the first half. He's also run for one, and at halftime, Florida State leads Maryland 42-7 on homecoming day. Tom?
All right, Jim, 21-zip here. Notre Dame with 3 first-quarter touchdowns. Chucky Dukes with 2nd and short yardage. Rams straight ahead and will be close to the first down. Stopped by Oliver Gibson.
Before the Notre Dame faithful gets too excited about this one, they should remember that this BC offense is a very, very talented group. They're averaging 31 points a game, 465 yards, and 272 yards on the ground. Unfortunately now, for Tom Coughlin, he may have to abandon that running game.
There's what that offense has done so far, though. Only their 2nd first down, just completed at 25 yards, compared with Notre Dame's 156.
But you can see Coughlin hasn't lost the running game completely here. He knows that there's still 3 quarters of football to play. He's down 21-0, but still plenty of time to make a comeback. He knows the history of Notre Dame as well as we do, and he just wants his guys to get their feet on the ground. They seem to be very nervous here in the first quarter. They could use another first down or 2 just to get things moving.
Play action pass, and again Foley feels the pressure. He's sacked. McGill was all over him for the 2nd time. Lane came on a corner blitz, and once again Foley immediately turned around and had blue jerseys in his face. Chris, I don't think it's so much BC being nervous or whatever. I think it's brilliant play by Notre Dame on both sides of the ball.
You know, Boston College probably hasn't seen a lot of these blitzes that Notre Dame is running. They're out of the corner of your picture. You see number 33, Greg Lane, coming on a corner blitz. We talked about it in the pregame show. I don't want to overemphasize it, but this really has become a new look Notre Dame defense. They're much more aggressive than what we saw in the first half of the season.
Foley backpedaling and again running for his life. Sacked again. This time Brian Radigan was first on the scene. Bryant Young finished him off and inspired Notre Dame defense, and Foley is gimpy as he gets up and limps to the sideline.
Foley limping off the field. This is about as disastrous a start as BC could have ever envisioned. And you can see Foley just not able to hang in the pocket. He didn't even get his back foot planted and had to begin scrambling. What a job by Notre Dame on the defensive side.
Beckley with a line drive punt. Miller will take it at his own 48 and immediately pounced upon. Well, somehow he broke free. That was indeed amazing as he made it to the 49-yard line. Good return by Mike Miller when it appeared he was hit upon receipt of the ball. Pete Klein finally made the tackle. Well, tomorrow NBC Sports presents an NFL doubleheader beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL Live. Most of you will see the battle between the LA Raiders and the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the quarterback controversy in Philly with Randall Cunningham benched. Jim McMahon will be the starter, and O.J. Simpson will have a story, a report on that tomorrow, an interview with Randall Cunningham. And you see the second half of the doubleheader. You'll see some of you, the leaders in the AFC Central, the Steelers against the Buffalo Bills. Check your local listings. Reggie Brooks draws a crowd of white jerseyed Eagle defenders, led, of course, by McManus and Boyd, the two top tacklers on the BC defensive squad.
Tom McManus had 165 tackles last year. That's a school record. Has been the Big East Player of the Week for 2 times during the course of this season. Says that the perfect hit is when you knock a guy out. He says he dreams of getting that done. He's never actually done it, but he'd like to see it happen today.
Meyer to Miller, complete. Miller goes one-on-one and gets by him inside the 35-yard line. Charlie Brennan and Tom McManus finally catching up to Mike Miller, who makes his 11th reception of the season. We're inside the final 47 seconds of the first quarter.
To give you some kind of a perspective on what kind of an athlete Mike Miller is, he returned 10 kicks, both punts and kickoffs in high school. 5 of those went for touchdowns.
Miller, the young man that left Notre Dame last year, went to the University of Houston, though he didn't play football, asked to return and is back in the Irish lineup. Brooks, a first down carry, net 6 before McManus trips him up.
We talked about BC's offensive line being called the mass movers. Well, most of the movement in this game has been created by Notre Dame's offensive line. It is a very, very solid bunch. Lou Holtz told us yesterday really the only question mark is at right guard with Todd Norman. He's, of course, playing with the cast on his hand after breaking his thumb 2 weeks ago.
Listen to the cheer for a brilliant first quarter by Notre Dame. That's the end of the first quarter of play. Irish eyes are smiling. 21-0. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery ready to start the second quarter at Notre Dame Stadium. The Irish 21-0 as Notre Dame Stadium sold out for the 105th consecutive time. And the Notre Dame fans like what they see from their Irish. They have the ball here, 2nd and 5 from the 29 of Boston College. Brooks got away from one man, following his blockers into the secondary down to the 18-yard line, and another Irish first down. Well, the names are the same, Chris, but this Notre Dame team, offensively and defensively, looks like a completely different ball club.
Well, offensively, they've never struggled throughout the course of this season. They've always been very impressive. But defensively, Rick Minner really have these guys playing much more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. And so far, can't be much more impressive than what we've seen.
And we've even seen some new offensive wrinkles as if they weren't productive enough. Here's the pitch to Becton. Becton already has a touchdown receiving. Plows his way inside the 10-yard line of BC, close to another first down.
Well, Lou Holtz said after the Navy game that his offense isn't as tough as it used to be, and that right now Boston College is playing better than the Irish. As you see Jerome Bettis check back in the game. But, Tom, that's old news as of the first quarter of this one.
Heavily taped ankles, and as we've said on previous games, the only player that Lou Holtz allows to tape his shoes. Yards rushing, BC in the minus column. First and goal Irish. There's that full house old T formation backfield, which includes Jeff Burris. Fake pass, incomplete, broken up by Charlie Brennan, intended for Oscar McBride. There's a flag down.
Looked like Charlie Brennan may have gotten there just a little bit early. They've come out in the full house backfield twice and thrown both times out of it. BC has to be absolutely shocked with what they're seeing. Notre Dame is going against every tendency that they've had.
It is interference against Boston College. Charlie Brennan, number 28, who has 5 picks this season.
Watch at the bottom of your screen, number 28, Charlie Brennan. See if he gets there too quickly against McBride. Ooh, that is under the category of a terrible call.
Yeah, I didn't even see any contact, even with the off arm.
That's awful.
First down, first and goal at the 2.
It'll be first and goal Notre Dame at the BC 2. McBride, the intended target of that last pass, has 5 receptions, 4 of them for touchdowns. Pettis to the 1.
If you're wondering why the ball was placed on the 2, in college football with pass interference in the end zone, it comes out to the 2 and not the 1 like it is in the professional game.
Let's go to John Dockery.
You know, Tom, I was talking to the doctor about Bettis, and he came off the field a little while ago, and he twisted his ankle a little bit. There was a little bit of pain, but nothing significant. As you can see, he's fine. He's back in the game. Glenn Foley on the other side for BC, he's fine. So injury's not a factor so far today.
It's Brooks, Becton, and Burris in the backfield now. Myers going to keep. Pitches to Brooks for the touchdown.
Are you kidding me? 27-0. This is absolutely amazing. What a great catch by Reggie Brooks on that pitch. He just stuck out his hook and it landed right there in his hand, was able to pull it in. That was what made the play. Rick Meyer taking a big chance down on the goal line, but another sensational play by Reggie Brooks just to catch it.
Kendrick with another extra point that's good. The Irish throwing caution to the winds here in the first half as Reggie Brooks scores his 9th touchdown of the season. McManus, number 53, had a chance to make the play, but Meyer optioned him, faked the keep, pitched, and Brooks with the TD. Notre Dame extends its lead to 28-0.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By the Power Tool Division of Black & Decker. By McDonald's, what you want is what you get, guaranteed at McDonald's today. And by Canon, the #1 copier company and the new power and high-volume copying.
Reggie Brooks getting in on the touchdown act. Notre Dame has had the ball 4 times. They've scored 4 touchdowns. Fair catch called on the kickoff and made by Brian Howlett. And Boston College will take over at its own 18-yard line as we return to New York for an update from Jim Lampley. Jim?
All right, Tom, let's take a look at Boston College's next opponent, Syracuse, also in the hunt for a New Year's Day bowl bid. And on that 26-yard touchdown pass, Graves to Antonio Johnson, the Orangemen had a 21-3 lead. Virginia Tech came back with a touchdown of its own. It's 21-9 Syracuse in the third. Tom Hanlon.
All right, Jim, as you said, Syracuse, another big game coming up for Boston College next week. Right now, the Eagles rock back on their heels by this Notre Dame onslaught. Darnell Campbell with a carry. Short yardage. Boston College has been an exercise in futility so far. Pretty good field position, but nothing doing. Punt, punt, fumble, and punt. And of course, as we said, Notre Dame 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns.
They're trying to figure something out on the sideline. There's Steve Sabo saying, I don't know, guys, you have any suggestions?
Foley to pass, and again running for his life. He's sacked again. Devon McDonald was the first man to Foley that time, and once again he's sacked. He has not been able to buy any time at all. That is the 4th sack of the day by the Irish.
Tom Foley just doesn't have time to set his feet and throw. You see, he's looking down a little too quickly. That time, Gordon Laro, the tight end, was just about to come open out of his break, but Foley is pulling the ball down a little bit too quickly. He looks a little shell-shocked sitting in the pocket.
He wouldn't be. 4 sacks for minus 40-some yards.
But he had time to get that one off.
Delayed handoff. Dukes can only get to the 15, a gain of 2, and once again BC will have to punt from deep in their own territory. Jim Flanagan, the nose tackle, made the stop that time for Notre Dame.
A very, very conservative call by Tom Coughlin, down 28-0 with a draw play. Boy, the last thing in the world I'd want to do is give the ball back to this Notre Dame offense. They've just been unstoppable.
Except Foley has not been able to throw the ball at all. Every time he goes back, he's sacked. Line drive kick. Miller lets it bounce. Takes a BC bounce. And will be down at about the 36-yard line.
That play will make the highlight reel for this game.
49 yards it covered. Off the foot of Jeff Beckley. Well, Tom Coughlin has been likened to a drill sergeant. It's been a Notre Dame onslaught so far. Lou Holtz had his troops ready for this one. 28-0, 11-12 remaining in the opening half at Notre Dame Stadium. The 8th-ranked Irish against the 9th-ranked Boston College Eagles. There's the average drive start. Notre Dame getting great field position because of some excellent defense. Play action pass. Meyer with time to spare, and a low pass can't be handled by Derek Mays, the intended receiver. Let's go down to John Dockery.
Thank you, Tom. You know, so many great players here at Notre Dame, including 7 Heisman Trophy winners. And who can forget the golden boy, number 5, Paul Hornung, 1956 Heisman Trophy winner, the only player to win it from a losing team. Went on to the Green Bay Packers to lead the NFL in scoring 3 times. Paul, what about today's game? I know you follow the Irish. A little bit of a difference today, huh?
John, I've worked Notre Dame football for 21 years. This is the best offensive and defensive performance together in one quarter that I've seen. They have been absolutely sensational. They're almost error-free. Rick Meyer may jump back into the Heisman Trophy race.
And there's a screen pass for good yardage again, Tom.
All right, Doc, that's Sellers. Ray Sellers knocked out of bounds at the 11-yard line by Joe Kamara. There is a penalty marker on the play. Flags down. If it stands, it'll go for 53 yards.
Looks like it's going to come back. Illegal use of the hands against Notre Dame. Look at Lou. He looks like he just lost his best friend. Up 28-0. That was, you hate to keep saying it, but that play was so well designed.
Above the waist on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down.
Steve Sabo, the defensive coordinator for Boston College, feeling like he had to make something happen. Sent the blitz that time. Perfectly timed call for Lou Holtz. He comes back with the screen pass, and it rips down the sideline for about 50 or 60 yards. And really, the first mistake of the day, the penalty against Notre Dame.
They haven't made many. Second and 9, the penalty from the spot of the foul. Stands in the pocket now, feels the rush, and he's sacked. The first BC sack of the day. Jason Pahopek, the senior from Dover, New Hampshire, getting his 7th sack of the season. He leads the Eagles in that department.
sometimes you have to rely on your defense to get you back into the game emotionally. Here, Pahopek coming around and coming up with the play on Rick Meyer. The interesting part of this, though, was that BC went with a man-to-man coverage in the secondary. Yesterday, or a couple of days ago, Sabo told me that they would not play man-to-man, that their defensive backs were not fast enough to match up with the Notre Dame receivers. Well, that theory is out the window. They have to start attacking.
They come with a blitz. Instead, it's a handoff to Brooks, who breaks 2 tackles and is in the open field. Goodbye, Brooks, on his way.
Marshall Falk and Garrison Hurst are great players, but I have not seen anybody play better than that young man, Reggie Brooks.
Well, here is something for Holtz to talk to his team about. Hendrick misses the extra point. His leg was getting tired. That's only the second extra point he's missed all season. At one time, he had a string of 130 straight before he missed against Purdue earlier this season. I just think it was fatigue in the kicking leg. Reggie Brooks, averaging over 8 yards a carry, is brilliant.
You just can't tackle this guy. 5'8", 210 pounds, very low center of gravity. And the thing about him is how fast he is once he gets into the secondary. No one ever catches him from behind.
73 yards. Brooks with his second score of the day. Well, no one has mentioned Reggie Brooks in the Heisman, but if he had the support of us, John Dockery, he would be the man we put at the top of the list.
And Tom, you know, while he was running that touchdown, Paul Hornung was saying, well, what about some of the players on the Irish team? And what about Brooks for the Heisman?
Well, maybe I spoke too soon about Rick Meyer. Maybe we all throw Reggie Brooks in there. He's averaging more yards per carry than anyone in the history of this school. So, listen, the Heisman Trophy is up for grabs, really.
Who would you put as the leading candidates right now, including Brooks, who should be in there?
I would think Brooks has to get some consideration. Garrison Hurst of Georgia, Marshall Falk, of course, and Rick Meyer. I've always said he's the best quarterback in the country.
And there is a Miami quarterback named Gino Torretta you have to include in there. Back to you, Tom.
All right, there's Hendrick's kick, taken again by Brian Howlett. A short kick by Hendrick to the 30-yard line of Boston College. Well, we talked about running backs in the Heisman Trophy. Garrison Hurst of Georgia averaging nearly 8 yards a carry, perhaps has faced the toughest opposition overall in the Southeastern Conference. But look at this. Look at the yards per carry coming into the game by Reggie Brooks. 8.1 yards a carry. Chucky Dukes of Boston College, not shabby either, has gained over 1,000 yards. Already, Brooks has piled up 113 yards rushing today in 1.5 quarters, including that 73-yard touchdown scamper a moment ago.
And Tom, Brooks only needs 23 more yards to go over the 1,000-yard mark and become the first Irish running back to break that barrier since Alan Pinkett in 1985.
First under Coach Lou Holtz. As we pointed out earlier, Brooks is second in terms of number of carries behind Bettis on this team. He's had some injuries, or his yard total would be even greater.
Averaging a first down per carry today.
Stopped by Bryant Young, who led the defensive charge. Anthony Peterson got a piece of the tackle as well.
Well, Tom Coughlin trying to get his running game going. Chucky Dukes has been the man for him all season long. 7 straight 100-yard rushing games. He's broken many long gainers throughout the course of this season. But right now, if BC is going to possibly get back in the game, Clint Foley is going to have to be able to throw the ball better than he has so far.
And he'll try it here. Gets protection this time, and then the ball is dropped by Ivan Boyd. Best passing connection they've made all day. The offensive line giving Foley time, and what happens? Boyd drops it right on the numbers.
I think we have to reiterate just how good this BC offense is. Averaging 31 points per game. You see Coughlin say, all you got to do is catch a stupid thing. 465 yards, 272 yards per game on the ground, and so far, nothing against the Irish.
Spinning punt off the foot of Beckley, taken by Miller. Dropped after a return of a yard or so by Mike Panos. Here at Notre Dame Stadium, the route is on. Reggie Brooks closing in on 1,000 yards rushing. The way he's been going, he'll get it this series.
He has 113 yards today. BC's defense has given up only 111 yards per game.
This give is to Dean Lytle, who is in at fullback on this series for Jerome Bettis. And let's go now to Jim Lampley in New York for College Football Update.
All right, Tom. In Fort Worth, Texas begins to creep back into the picture against TCU. Still unbeaten in the Southwest Conference, looking ahead to the showdown with A&M. The Longhorns get the 15-yard touchdown run from Adrian Walker in the second. The Horned Frogs still lead it 14-7. Tom Hamill.
All right, Jim, a surprise that TCU has the lead. Not a surprise, perhaps, that Notre Dame is in front of BC, but the margin certainly is. Here's Brooks. Diving ahead, hurdling tacklers to the 48-yard line of the Eagles, tripped up finally by Charlie Brennan.
Tom, the amazing part about this is that BC is playing an 8-man front, and they're still knocking out 10, 12, 15 yards per carry. This is just total domination, and we have to talk about this offensive line. Lindsey Knapp and Aaron Taylor, Tim Ruddy, Todd Norman, Justin Hall. They're simply blowing BC away.
He's had a hip injury. He was telling us yesterday, just now getting to be 100% again. Here's a counter play. There's another Irish first down. Stephen Boyd made the tackle. There is a penalty marker down.
Tackle made by Boyd.
This one may be coming back as well.
It'll be a hold against the Irish.
That'll be first down and 20. That'll take him about a play and a half to pick that up.
You know, Meyer has been brilliant today. He's hit 7 different receivers, spreading the ball around, and directing an offense that has been...
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Directing an offense that has been literally unstoppable.
Unstoppable and very creative. What we have seen so far is a totally new look out of Notre Dame's offense. All the misdirection, the wing back reverses, the underneath handoffs, so many things that we have not seen, and I'm sure that's part of the reason BC's defense is having so many problems. That's the fact that they're just getting whipped.
Lytle and Becton are the split backs. Myers' pass broken up, intended for William Pollard and knocked down by Joe Camara.
Well, Steve Szabo, the defensive coordinator for Boston College, has basically thrown his game plan out the window now. He did not want to try and play man-to-man coverage against Notre Dame, but now he's forced to blitz, try to come up with some big plays, do anything he can to get his team back in it. They desperately could use a turnover here and give their offense a chance for a quick strike.
6:52 left in the second quarter. Notre Dame up 34-0. Meyer pumps once, now delivers down the sideline, and intended for Ray Briggs, and intercepted by Michael Reed. We had to wait to see who came down with the football, and it was Michael Reed with his 3rd interception of the season, the sophomore out of Wilmington, Delaware. So Meyer picked off for only the 4th time this season. He came into the game with 67 straight passes without an interception. He had another 8 completions or attempts before this interception.
Rick Meyer misread that defense. They have been playing so much man-to-man on the previous 3 or 4 snaps. That time it was a zone. Michael Reed simply sat right there. They tried to pump, fake, and go, but he just didn't see Michael Reed in the deep zone.
And BC goes to the run, this time to Darnell Campbell. Are you surprised that the Eagles continue to stay on the ground? Isn't it time to throw away the game plan, to throw caution to the winds and try to open it up?
But this has been a team that all season has relied on their balance. I'm not sure that Tom Coughlin knows what to do when he's down 34-0, and who does? There is no effective game plan. But the one thing you don't want to do is just come out and try and drop back and throw it every time, because Glenn Foley has just been getting murdered in the pocket.
Look at the disparity in total yards. Here's Foley in trouble again. Scrambles out of it. Delivers the pass. And it is complete to Cannon. Clarence Cannon made a nice diving catch right on the sideline. And now the BC offense starting to percolate a little bit.
Well, I believe this one may have bounced off his hands. Let's see.
Well, I thought he caught it.
Yep, right off the helmet.
I thought he caught it.
Bank shot.
Well, your eye was better than mine. I thought he came down with it.
Nice job of coverage that time by Greg Lane. He was all over Clarence Cannon. Coughlin wanted to start this game over.
Couldn't handle that one. Not only is Foley running for his life on most of his pass attempts, but his receivers can't hold on to the football.
And they can't get open, and they can't block the defensive line of Notre Dame. Only 2 completions for 18 yards. Glenn Foley, I talked to him earlier this week, so excited about coming to Notre Dame and playing. His father a quarterback at BC. And this has been a complete embarrassment thus far.
Beckman's punt taken by Miller. Straight ahead. Miller across the 30 to the 31-yard line.
Ball at the 21 to the 30.
36-yard punt and an 11-yard return. And again, Notre Dame with good field position. Let's take a look at today's Xerox Sports Fact. Which coach has the second highest winning percentage in college football history? We'll give you a hint. He coached at both BC and Notre Dame. After this play, we'll give you the answer.
And his great-grandson is now playing for Notre Dame.
Well, that's enough hints.
Huh? What do you win if you get it right?
Here's Brooks. You win a clinic from Reggie Brooks on running the football. He's got another 4 yards to his total as he again closes in on that 1,000-yard mark for the season, stopped by Brennan and Kamara. And here is the answer to our Xerox Sports Fact. Frank Leahy, 864 his percentage. He coached at both Boston College and Notre Dame. And Hannah Storm will have a halftime feature on Frank Leahy at our game today. And there is his grandson, Ryan Leahy, who is a backup offensive tackle for the Irish.
It started last week against Navy when Justin Hall had some problems with vertigo.
Meyer on the option with a pitch to Brooks. Stiff arm. Brooks lost his balance, still managed to get beyond the first down marker. That should have been a flag. He got a push in the back after he'd already crossed the sideline, but no marker down.
A little limp. Don't forget Reggie Brooks has had a problem with his hip for the past month or so. And I tell you, it would be a devastating loss if Notre Dame lost that young man. See if we can see at the end of the play. Again, the wing back motion. You see how Brooks slowed down to allow Rick Meyer to make the pitch.
Actually, a legal hit. He was still in bounds when he was hit. It was a legal hit by BC.
You know, that was Reggie Brooks' fault that he got hurt. He slowed down right before he went out of bounds and allowed the push in the back to happen.
Miller, wide receiver screens, takes a step back to receive the ball and takes it ahead for 6 or 7 yards before Terrence Wiggins and Michael Reed stop him.
Just so much speed out of Mike Miller. He ran a 10.3 100 meters in high school. That was the second fastest in the nation. Runs a 4.35 40-yard dash. To put that in perspective, I played 8 years in the National Football League, ran 4.5, well, at least in the beginning of my career. Towards the end, they were timing me with a sundial. So he is one of the fastest players in college football.
Here's Becton in motion from a wing spot as they hand to Lytle straight ahead. Dean Lytle has an Irish first down inside the 45 of Boston College.
Reggie Brooks standing on the sideline, may or may not get back down. He's taking a seat on the bench. And it would not surprise me at all if we did not see Reggie Brooks or Jerome Bettis for the rest of the afternoon. As you mentioned earlier, they have a very difficult schedule the rest of the way.
Next week they play Penn State here and then on the road at Southern Cal to close the season. While the resets at the fullback spot in the I formation. Quick toss to Lake Dawson. Spun out of bounds after a short gain of 5 yards or so by Charlie Brennan and Stephen Boyd.
Charlie Brennan's the brother of now Cincinnati wide receiver Brian Brennan. And Charlie got his start at BC as one of the kids that held the cord for the coach along the sideline. He said one time that I got almost the whole team tangled up in that cord, and I thought that I was going to get fired from my job, but Brian came off the field and untangled the team, and I got to stay with BC.
Big brother had to come out of the game in order to help him untangle the coaches and players. Becton, ankle tackle by McManus, saved a further gain that time. Is Reggie Brooks about to return? He is indeed. He'll carry in the play from Lou Holtz.
I guess the big question here is why. 34-0, 3 minutes to go in the first half.
And over that magical 1,000-yard mark, the first in Lou Holtz's tenure at Notre Dame, averaging 10.2 yards a carry today, which will up his season's average of 8.1, which already was tied for tops in Notre Dame history. Mays. That's about as obvious an interference call as you can have. He was absolutely locked up by Michael Reed.
My favorite part about defensive backs, when they come up with pass interference, they always stick their hands out like, what are you talking about? Me? I interfered. He almost tackled him. Michael Reed just absolutely wrapped up the receiver, gave him no chance whatsoever.
Interference call against BC. Derek Mays was the intended receiver.
Now watch Derek Mays. Boom! And grabbed him.
Pass interference. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And then as soon as he saw the flag, he said, what are you talking about? Me? I didn't do anything.
To the 22. First down.
Jerome Bettis has returned to the lineup for Notre Dame. There he is, number 6. Bad ankle and all. First down, Notre Dame. 22-yard line of Boston College. You just joined us. Shocking score, 34-0 Notre Dame.
Jerome Bettis.
Tom McManus stopping Bettis for short yardage.
You just joined us. We won't tell you the score. Just enjoy the rest of the football game. This has been one powerful offensive display on the part of Notre Dame. And really, Tom, the key to this game, I thought, was the play of the defense. They came out very aggressively and stopped BC, one of the top offenses in the country, cold in their tracks, allowing only a couple of first downs in the first quarter, and that allowed this Notre Dame offense to really get on a roll.
The Eagles came into the game with some gaudy numbers, offense and defense. Pitch to Brooks. There's that patented spin move by Brooks, which gets him another couple of yards to the 15. Boyd and Wiggins. And we were talking to him about that spin move yesterday. He says it's just instinctive. I said, well, does it open you up to injuries? He said, a hit hasn't knocked me out yet. There's the spin. Learned it when he was just starting to play football, he said, around the 4th grade or so.
That's a great move when you're playing flag football, because then your flag starts flying around in a circle and no one can grab them. That's like the original move that all young athletes learn.
Nearly knocked unconscious, you'll remember, while scoring a touchdown in the opening game against Michigan. Not quite. There's Bettis, the safety valve on that pass from Meyer, who was scrambling. It falls incomplete. There is a flag on the play.
Jerome won't say anything now, but I guarantee you tomorrow in the films he'll be wearing Rick Meyer out for that pass. Jerome, known for getting all over his teammates, looked like ineligible man downfield on that play.
Notre Dame for an ineligible receiver downfield.
So many times you see when a quarterback begins to scramble the offensive line, they lose track of what's happened on the play. And most good offensive lines, when a pass is completed, they'll try and charge down the field and make a block. that time they just lost track of where Rick Mirer was.
Ineligible receiver, downfield on the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, 3rd down.
Either that or maybe Aaron Taylor wanted to catch a touchdown pass. Everybody else has scored in this game. He might as well.
Where Lou Holtz was fired up at the pep rally last night. He said he was tired of hearing about Boston College. He told us that BC had been feeding on nothing but positive input from their fans, from the media, and everybody else. And he told his Notre Dame faithful at the pep rally he was tired of hearing about him. Stormed off the stage. And he won't hear much about him after this game. It's been all Notre Dame. They were ready. Good time for Mirer. Threw it behind Dawson, though, who slipped down.
I really enjoy watching Rick Mirer when he gets a chance to drop back in the pocket. That time he threw the ball behind Lake Dawson. But last year when I heard Bill Walsh talk about what a great quarterback this young man was and how he was the best player and would be the #1 draft pick, and I thought it was all a little bit exaggerated, but after watching this young man throughout the course of the season, I have to agree. I think without question he'll be the first quarterback taken.
37-yard Hendrick field goal attempt. It's good, and Notre Dame will add to its lead as Hendrick scores his 5th field goal of the season. 37-0 Notre Dame. The mosaic on the side of the Hesburgh Library looming over the walls of Notre Dame Stadium. Notre Dame students call it Touchdown Jesus, and in this meeting between the only 2 Catholic schools that play Division 1A football, it's been all Notre Dame. Dukes returns Hendrick's kickoff. Looked for a seam, then broke 2 tackles. Dukes with a nice run just shy of the 40-yard line. Greg Lane with a saving tackle for Notre Dame.
He takes the ball to the 39.
Dukes flashing some of the brilliance he's shown throughout the season for BC. And the Eagles have less than a minute remaining in the first half.
Chucky Dukes was very close with Jay McGillis, the young man that died of leukemia. As a matter of fact, he keeps a picture of McGillis in his playbook and looks at it daily.
Foley's pass short hops the intended receiver Cannon. Bobby Taylor, Notre Dame's talented freshman, was covering on the play. But don't forget, on NFL Live tomorrow, a feature you'll be interested to see. Randall Cunningham leading the Philadelphia Eagles, soaring early in the season, but now benched in favor of Jim McMahon. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. What's the reason behind their recent slump? O.J. Simpson will take a look. He'll talk to Randall Cunningham in a compelling interview tomorrow on NFL Live at 12:30 Eastern Time. Foley's pass. A lot of Notre Dame defenders around it. Greg Bryce was the only white shirt in the vicinity. And Foley continues to misfire. He has the arm. He was in a pure passing game. Coach Coughlin said he's capable of playing the drop back pure passing game if they needed him to, but he's been better this season playing within the BC system. In this situation, though, the pass is called for, and he has thrown 5 straight incompletions now.
Let's give some credit once again to Tom Carter. He was all over Greg Bryce. Remember, we said at the beginning of the show that Tom Carter was going to be left one-on-one all day. They were going to try and cover everyone else with a bit of a zone. So far, that scheme has worked perfectly.
Foley's pass knocked down right at the line of scrimmage by Bryant Young. And Boston College still has not converted a 3rd down. They're 0 for 7 in the game.
Bryant Young, Jim Flanagan, Brian Hamilton, Carmelia McGill, just overwhelming BC so far early in this game. That time, Pete Kendall, the redshirt freshman, no match for Bryant Young.
So, a familiar scenario. Beckley on the punt. Notre Dame doesn't even put anybody back there. They'll just let it roll. And it'll roll dead at the 10-yard line. Tony Ransom downing it there. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Jim Lampley will have all of today's college football scores and highlights, and Hannah Storm will take a special look at former Notre Dame and Boston College head coach Frank Leahy. That's all coming up at halftime. 30 seconds left in this opening half of play. A rough one for Tom Coughlin. And Lou Holtz has seen his Irish explode in this first 2 quarters of play.
Tom Coughlin said that he's been so embarrassed by all the rumors concerning his taking over for Ray Handley with the New York Giants, that not that he wouldn't one day have some kind of an interest in pro football, but certainly not at the expense of his good friend Ray Handley.
He said if he were the source of embarrassment or difficulties for his friends with the New York Giants, he would be really upset. But he has had nothing to do with those rumors and has done all he can to stop them. A standing ovation for the Notre Dame Irish after a flawless first half of football. Let's go to John Dockery.
Coach, very tough first half. Any explanation?
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't win the battle on the line of scrimmage, you don't have a chance. Hell, we haven't physically established anything. We haven't tackled well. We haven't blocked the line of scrimmage. We haven't protected for the passer. Notre Dame's executed very well, and we haven't done a thing.
Do you open it up more in the second half?
We protect the passer.
Thanks, Coach.
That pretty well summed up the first half of play here at Notre Dame Stadium. The 9th-ranked Eagles of Boston College shocked by the 8th-rated Irish of Notre Dame. Reggie Brooks has gone over 1,000 yards rushing for the season, being helped to the locker room at halftime, but a brilliant first half leading the Irish to that 37-0 score at intermission. Jim Lampley, it has been a shocking first half of play here at Notre Dame Stadium. Obviously, it's been all Fighting Irish.
Well, Tom, you could knock me off my chair with a feather, but then you could probably do that anyway. Around the country in college football, homecoming day at various key venues, the bowl picture begins to clear up. Pollsters get ready to compare Arizona against Washington with Arizona against Miami a little bit earlier in the season. We'll be back with scores and highlights from New York in just a moment on Notre Dame Saturday.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Stadium, where the Fighting Irish lead the Eagles of Boston College 37-0. Now, Notre Dame and BC share much more than just their Catholic heritage and their Division 1A football status. Both schools can also lay claim to the coach that has the second best winning percentage in college football history. Now, Frank Leahy didn't make much of an impact under Knute Rockne at Notre Dame. A knee injury cut short his playing career, but Leahy came back to achieve tremendous success as a football coach. And as his two former schools embark on a tradition of their own now, we remember one of college football's legendary coaches. Frank Leahy returned to Notre Dame the conquering hero. In 2 short seasons, he had led Boston College to 20 wins, including a Sugar Bowl upset of Tennessee. And in 1941, at the age of 33, he returned to South Bend to continue the legacy of his former coach, Knute Rockne.
And you didn't get that man out there, Leahy. Get your head on the inside of him, Frank. Carry him out.
I think that everything that he did went back to Rockne in some form.
To rebuild Notre Dame as a football power in the Rockne tradition, Leahy risked his coaching future by scrapping his mentor's famed box formation.
Signal. 36, 49, 22. Hip. 1, 2, 3.
In some circles, it was viewed as blasphemous to break from the Rockne system.
He went to the president of the school and said, look, I'd like to drop this and go to the T formation. It probably was like going in and ask, can we go for divorce? I mean, it was almost that big, dropping the Notre Dame box, and apparently the president of the school gave him permission.
People thought maybe he was going against Rockne and the Notre Dame shift in tradition, but that was not the case. His job as a football coach was to win football games.
And win he did. In 11 seasons, Leahy had a remarkable run at Notre Dame, winning 4 national championships, putting together 6 undefeated seasons, including a 39-game unbeaten streak, and coaching 4 Heisman Trophy winners. Yet Leahy will forever live in the shadow of Notre Dame's winningest coach, Knute Rockne.
Rockne was the type of a fellow that could beat your brains in, and you would still love him. Frank Leahy could beat your brains in, and you would end up hating him. It was a personality situation.
I fumbled 5 times in one game against Purdue in 1952. So you can imagine how he treated me. My God, John Latner, a boy of your caliber. Why should a boy of your caliber fumble 5 times? John, you'll burn in hell for that. You know, and he went on things like that. And then he told me to go to confession and confess the 5 mortal sins.
Leahy's obsession with the game was legendary. During the football season, he lived alone above the Notre Dame firehouse in this small room, eating, breathing, sleeping football. But the singular nature of his existence almost ended his life. In 1953, at halftime of the Georgia Tech game, he was given his last rites after suffering a severe pancreatic attack. Leahy survived and finished the season, but just 3 months later, he retired from the game forever.
It is, as I said years ago, the 3rd toughest job in America. Mayor of New York, President of the United States, and coach at Notre Dame.
When he retired in 1854, he was only 47 years old. 47. I looked at him, I thought he was 67.
When Leahy died in 1973, his wife said he had given his whole life to Notre Dame, and he was not going to be buried in South Bend. Instead, the funeral was held in Portland, Oregon. But as the casket was carried out of the chapel by a group of former Notre Dame coaches and players, the Victory March played one last time for Leahy.
Little was known of the tradition of the Leahy Bowl given to the winner of the Boston College Notre Dame game until several months ago when a fan in Boston wrote NBC Sports to tell us about it. Now, we asked the folks at the Sports Information Office here at Notre Dame. They had never heard of the Leahy Bowl, but they promised to embark on a search for the trophy, and it was finally found. However, it was in bad shape. It was in a couple of pieces. The names of the winners hadn't even been recorded on the base of the trophy. But the bowl, as you can see, has been restored for this series. The names of the winners have been engraved with plenty of room for this series for the next 13 years. So now future teams playing in this series will remember the legacy of Leahy. And Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth, I think there is room for another Notre Dame victory to be engraved on this trophy. At least that's the way it looks like it's going to go for now.
Absolutely, and of course Ryan Leahy, Frank Leahy's grandson, figures to get plenty of playing time. He's a backup offensive tackle. We noticed at halftime the band was flawless. It's been that kind of half for Notre Dame.
It has been a perfect day, and for Tom Coughlin, what do you tell your young men at halftime? Absolutely nothing went right. We'll see if they can get it turned around here in the second half.
And ready to get the second half underway with Boston College kicking to Notre Dame. Picked up the bouncing football and is stopped at the 34-yard line. Some telling stats from the first half of play, Chris.
And really, first of all, the rushing yards really sticks out, -7, and total yards of 11. Almost unbelievable. What a job Notre Dame's done defensively. But also the time of possession. BC, this entire season, has dominated in time of possession, and yet in this game they can just hold on to the football long enough to punt it.
Rick Meyer is still at quarterback. The running backs at the moment, Becton and Lytle. This is Dean Lytle that gets the call. He's replaced Jerome Bettis. And here's Reggie Brooks just now coming out on the field from the locker room. John Dockery has a report on his status.
You see Reggie Brooks, he just ran by me down the sidelines there, and I spoke to the doctor moments ago. Right before the half, when he was knocked out of bounds, he hit his head on the ground. He was a little bit woozy. He got dinged. The doctor said they'd check him to see if he would play or not. 37-0. You wonder why Lou Holtz would use him, but he looks like he's available if they need him. Okay, Tom.
A typical brilliant effort, John, by Reggie Brooks so far. He's passed the 1,000-yard rushing mark today. Lytle broke free for a moment before Brennan and Boyd collapsed on him. There's a look at Charlie Brennan. We haven't had a chance to see it today, but Chris, this season, when he makes an interception, instead of giving a high five, he of course has a salute to his former teammate Jay McGillis, the young man who died of leukemia in July of this year.
Yeah, he'll flash the 31. He'll put one hand up a 3, one hand up as a 1. Really a very emotional, moving story about Jay McGillis, and certainly he has a lot to do with this team being so successful this year. It's been an emotionally inspired football team for BC.
Meyer, needing only a yard, keeps on the option and is tackled by Tom McManus. And depending on the spot of the football, I believe it might be just a bit short of the first down. It's going to be close enough that they're going to measure, I think.
Tom, I can remember in Super Bowl 16, we were down 20-0 at halftime against the San Francisco 49ers, and we went in at the half and completely embarrassed, and Forrest Gregg said, he didn't yell, he didn't scream, didn't say anything. He said, well, boys, you can't embarrass yourself any worse than that. Just go out and do the best you can in the second half. I'm sure Coughlin had much the same thing to say to his troops.
Holt sending his punting unit onto the field. This will be the first punt of the day by Notre Dame.
This would be categorized as a mercy punt.
There's Hendrick in to do the honors. That's what he's done on the season. He's the all-time leading punter career average in Notre Dame history. Kubayama, you saw deep for Boston College. It's a fake. Hendrick has it. He's going to run for the first down. Out of bounds at the 41-yard line of Boston College. Chris, is that rubbing it in? I do not understand that. Why?
I don't think you can call it a mercy fake. That, oh boy, I tell you, that's like stealing a base in the bottom of the 9th inning when you're leading 15-0. Boy, that is adding insult to injury. You just have to wonder if Hendrick may have just done this on his own. Well, it looked like he was up and ready to throw the ball. Boy, I tell you, that is rubbing salt in the wound.
Well, it seems that a game doesn't go by without Lou Holtz being embroiled in a controversy. Wide open is Irv Smith inside the 20 of BC, tripped up by Kamara. I don't think we've had a game this season when Lou Holtz has not been the subject, the focus of controversy. You thought here cruising 37-0 with an absolutely brilliant game plan, both sides of the football, that this would be a game where Holtz would not be the focus. And suddenly the fake punt, and you have to wonder again.
Well, I guess sometimes coaches like to plant a seed. So many times in professional football, in the last preseason game, you'll run a fake kick, a fake punt, just so your opponents in the future will have it in the back of their minds and they won't rush quite as hard. Other than that, I can give you no explanation.
I don't think that there are a lot of folks in Boston buying that right now.
We'll find out. We don't know if that was called. We saw it last week. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now, but we'll sure let you know next week.
This Collinsworth with some uncharacteristic kindness when a controversy arises. You're mellowing, I notice.
I am. Well, you know, 37-0 will do that to you. Okay. Although Lou Holtz certainly didn't get in Hendrick's face after he took off and ran.
Pitch. Becton. Irv Smith with a nice block, and Becton's inside the 10. Brennan bumped him out there. It just looks to me like the steam has been taken out of Boston College. That fake punt was kind of the last straw. It's just like, oh man, let's just get on and get out of here.
Really insulting, and I don't know. You know, again, you never know what happened on the play. But that really, against a team that has so much pride, that the Boston College Eagles have done such a tremendous job all season long, and to come out here early in the first half and
this is the first of what, 13 straight games or something between these two?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Don't think that Tom Coughlin won't remember what has happened.
Not a happy bunch on the Boston College sideline.
If you're Tom Coughlin, what you are looking for right now is some sense of pride that your team will stand up and fight for the rest of the way. At 37-0, every reason in the world to quit. Now they have a chance to show the kind of pride that really has gotten them to this point so far in the season.
Straight ahead to Burris. Jeff Burris, the safety, carries for the 7th time this season. He scored 3 touchdowns. He comes in that short yardage T formation. Chris Sullivan makes the stop. Boston College has been feeding, as Lou Holtz noted, on positive vibes all season long. A team that had early success and gained confidence and got much better because of that. Can they survive this shellacking?
You have to wonder if this knocks them out of January 1 bowl contention. There are many bowl representatives here, and they're seeing this team get embarrassed.
There's the touchdown to Burris. His first receiving touchdown of the season. His 4th touchdown overall. And for Rick Meyer, what's that, his 3rd touchdown pass of the day? He's also run for one.
Lou Holtz says that he wishes he could play Jeff Burris both ways. He has 3 rushing touchdowns, now a receiving touchdown on the season. Really has a field down around the goal line. Young man can do it all.
Burris with a touchdown. Notre Dame going for it on a fake punt on 4th down. Scores on its opening possession of the second half. Hendricks' extra point makes it 43-0. The 8th-ranked Irish over the 9th-ranked Boston College Eagles. Astounding score. 44 with the extra point. Even the scoreboard and the announcers are having trouble keeping up with this tally.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Geo, inviting you to get to know the newest Geo Prism, only at your Chevrolet Geo dealers. By AT&T, the right choice. By John Nuveen and Company, quality tax-free investment since 1898. And by O'Doul's, from the makers of Budweiser, refreshing beer taste without the alcohol.
It has been a bone-chilling afternoon for Glenn Foley and the Boston College Eagles, and it has nothing to do with the temperature. Hendricks' kick, returned by Justice Smith, who is hit hard and knocked down just across the 20-yard line.
Duke Rockne used to say that you don't have to see a good tackle, you can hear it. And that was the case on that kickoff. Mike Lally, a strong safety, coming up and laying the lumber down on BC.
Foley has spent most of his day dodging the Irish rush. This is his first possession of the second half. And it's a complete pass. The pass complete to Pete Mitchell, who is his leading receiver on the season. That's his first catch of the day, but his 29th of the 92 campaign.
He has 441 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, both against Penn State. After one of those touchdowns, he came up with maybe the worst touchdown dance in the history of the NCAA. Chucky Dukes, the running back, said just goes to prove that white men simply cannot dance.
Dukes, nice run by Chucky Dukes. He's out to the 40-yard line. McGill forced him out at that point, but it will be a BC first down.
Dukes has a chance to become BC's all-time leading rusher. Mike Esposito had 1,289 yards in 1973, but really the big part, one of the stories today, is Notre Dame's ability to take that man out of this game.
Set a Big East record with 272 all-purpose yards against Syracuse last season. Dukes returns kicks as well as totes the football as he is right there on first down. Excuse me, that was Campbell who got only a yard.
We talked to John during the commercial, and he was unable to find out whether or not that was a fake punt called from the sideline or not, but you would have to assume, because none of the players are talking about it on the sideline, that it truly was called by Lou Holtz, and I think that's a little bit out of hand.
Resulted in an Irish touchdown. It kept the drive alive that scored 7 more points. It's 44-0. Dukes upended. Did the football come free? Let's see. No, they say it was down. No fumble. Brian Hamilton, the man that upended Chucky Dukes on the play. Football came loose, but he'll be ruled down.
Right at the end of the play, you'll see the football come loose. Yes, clearly he had it when it hit the ground. Chucky Dukes still giving 100%, diving over the pile, trying to do everything that he can. BC does not want to be shut out in this game. This has been a team that has just accomplished too much so far this season to come in here and get blown out and not put any points on the board.
3rd and long, looking, as you saw, for their first conversion of the game. Protection for Foley this time, but the pass off target intended for Mitchell. And Mitchell appeared to be well covered by the Irish secondary. It's been a strong defensive effort by the Irish stop unit today. The Notre Dame defense, especially pass defense, has been questioned at times, but Rick Minter's unit has been equal to the task and then some against the Eagles, one of the best offensive teams in the nation.
Rick Minter said he came to the realization that he had to be more aggressive against some of these top offensive teams in the country. And we have seen that this afternoon.
Miller fumbled it, and
BC recovers. Now they scramble for the football. Let's see if the Eagles held on to it. Yes, it is Boston College football. Recovered by Ransom, one of the backup defensive backs who was on special teams coverage. Tony Ransom, a freshman out of La Plata, Maryland, recovers the Miller fumble.
Mike Miller just not able to find the handle as it bounces around, rolls between his legs. And now BC with a chance to at least restore the pride, but the Notre Dame faithful, they don't want to see any points on the board.
First down BC from the Notre Dame 12 after the fumble. Play action pass as Foley rolls. Plenty of time. Incomplete. Intended for Mitchell. DuBose and Bobby Taylor had Mitchell pretty well blanketed, and the throw from Foley was low anyway.
Nobody open. They go with the play action. Notre Dame shifted their defense that way. Everything that Tom Coughlin has called today has come up empty.
Dukes tries to bounce to the outside. Can't get there. DuBose met him. Again, the ball comes loose, but he was ruled down. No fumble. There's DuBose, 31. All-American candidate, sat out a 2-game NCAA suspension to open the season. Defense struggled without him. And based on this game today, and hitting their best stride of the season.
And he had questioned whether or not he made the right decision coming to Notre Dame because they were playing so conservatively on defense. Now Rick Minard beginning to open it up, and Demetrius DuBose a lot happier.
Foley looks to the end zone. Flag down, though, and they'll stop the play before it gets underway. Looks like a dead ball foul, perhaps illegal procedure.
Dead ball, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, replay third down.
We haven't seen quite as much motion and shifting and all the different aspects of Tom Coughlin's offense as we expected against Penn State. They did such a great job of moving around, outflanking the Penn State defense. I guess because of the fact they fell behind so quickly in this one, they never really got a chance to fully implement their offense.
Notre Dame scoring the first 4 times they had the football in the game. Foley's pass complete, well short of touchdown territory to Pete Mitchell. Brian Radigan tracking him all the way. And on 4th down, they'll go for it. They can make a first down without scoring, but they're about 12 yards shy of even that.
This is the most exciting moment we've had in the game since the opening kickoff.
To confer with one of his teammates. A mix-up in the play calling. The play clock coming down, has to take a timeout. We'll be back for that 4th down play in a moment. Coughlin's Eagles trying to get on the scoreboard after recovering a Notre Dame fumble. They face a 4th and 12 from the Irish 14-yard line. Holtz trying to preserve the shutout. Buys time. The pass intercepted by Burris in the end zone. The Notre Dame secondary had everybody covered. They had a blanket over them. Foley dodged the rush to buy a little time. And still the ball tipped and intercepted by Burris. Greg Lane, the man that tipped it, and Burris caught it.
That time, Foley had plenty of time to try to make something happen. But this has been one incredible team defensive effort by Notre Dame. The pass rush has been there all day. The secondary has done an unbelievable job of covering BC's receivers. And Jeff Burris is thoroughly enjoying this afternoon.
His 5th pick, as the players say, of the season. Reggie Brooks is back in the game and gets that pitch. That trips over one man, spins away from another, and he has 10 more yards. Well, we told you that Reggie Brooks ranks with the greats among his contemporaries. He ranks with the greats of all time. The all-time record for a single season in average yards per carry held by the legendary George Gipp, 8.1 yards per carry back in 1920. And Reggie Brooks came into this game averaging exactly that, 8.1 yards per carry. He's up to 8.3 now. So on the way perhaps to being the record setter in Notre Dame history this season. Here's Dean Lytle getting the handoff from the fullback spot. George Gipp, of course, was Notre Dame's first Walter Camp All-American back in 1920, then died just weeks after his final season of strep throat. And it was 8 years later that Knute Rockne made that win one for the Gipper speech at halftime of the eventual 12-6 win, Notre Dame over Army. And of course, Ronald Reagan played Gipp in the 1940 movie Knute Rockne All-American. And perhaps Reggie Brooks will exceed the record of the legendary George Gipp. Speaking of legends, Ryan Leahy, grandson of Frank Leahy, in now at offensive right tackle. Brooks gets another carry. Another cutback run. Tripped up across the 45 to the 46-yard line. John Dockery.
You know, Tom, I was just thinking the score is 44-0. Reggie Brooks had to be helped from the field just before halftime. 2 Notre Dame officials took him in, helped him off the field. He came out, I talked to the doctor, and he said, yeah, he was a little woozy, a little dizzy. Weren't sure whether he was going to play or not. Now we see him back in the game. My question is, why? Is it to break the Gibbs record? Is it to give him a shot at the Heisman? Is it to roll up yards? Is it to risk injury? I think it's just not a smart move to have Reggie Brooks back in the game when you had 44-0.
It's to give us something to talk about. Some excitement, like that spin move. Another one. And to the 50-yard line. Thank goodness Reggie Brooks is in there. You know, the irony of this whole situation is that Reggie's older brother, Tony, stayed an extra year at Notre Dame. Had he left on time, Reggie probably would have been the starting tailback last year, and people around the country would be aware of his special talent. We asked Reggie about that yesterday, and he said, well, he's thought about that, but one thing that did happen, because this is his only chance, he knows this is his only season to be the regular tailback at Notre Dame, he's more focused. He knows that every carry counts. You have to say he's made that the case this season. Meyer keeps on the option, close to another first down.
You know, Lou Holtz yesterday, excuse me, Tom, really went out of his way to let it be known that he didn't like all the attention that Boston College was getting, and he felt like his team deserved more. You've got the fake punt at the beginning of this half. You're leaving your starters in there. You've got Rick Meyer and Brooks and all the regulars in the ball game, and he may just be trying to make a point. I find it hard to believe that he's really wanting to run up the score, but certainly that's the way that it appears.
Dennis Erickson had a good point this past week, didn't he, about running up the score when he faced West Virginia. He put in his subs. West Virginia got back in the game, and they fell in the polls out of first place. Washington took over, and he said that sort of voting is encouraging coaches to run up the score. Griggs with that reception from Meyer. A first down just short of the 30-yard line of the Eagles with Terrence Wiggins on the tackle. Lots of goings on this weekend, of course, in college football. Jim Lampley with the latest from New York. Jim?
All right, Tom, let's take you back to Fort Worth, where TCU is still angling for the upset of Texas, but a Grady Cavanis interception gave the Longhorns the ball and a chance to get that 1-yard Curtis Jackson touchdown run. They are within 2 points. TCU still leading deep in the third at 16-14.
All right, Jim, and here at Notre Dame Stadium, 44-0 inside 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Notre Dame, guess what? Driving again. Lee Becton gets only a yard or so. Tom McManus stacks it up.
Reggie Brooks back in. A couple of years ago, Chris, I was at Riverfront Stadium in an NFL game when the Houston Oilers played the Cincinnati Bengals, headed for the playoffs. The Oilers appeared to be hopelessly beaten in that game, but they left Warren Moon in, and he dislocated his thumb and was out for the opening of the playoffs. It makes you wonder sometimes about some of these regulars.
You've got two underclassmen at quarterback, Kevin McDougal, Paul Philip, who are going to be the heir apparent to Rick Meyer. You just wonder why they're not getting a chance to gain some experience right now.
That play is blown dead before it gets started. Paul Hording, you know, in the first half when he was talking to John Dockery, called Rick Meyer the best quarterback in the country.
Dead ball to Liam Game on the offense.
And you said you thought he would be the first man taken in the NFL draft. He has certainly had the kind of game that everyone expected of him today, directing the Irish to this 44-0 advantage. Long afternoon for quarterback Foley, and you know when a horse runs a bad race, you throw it out, hoping they'll return to form next time, and that's what Eagle fans are hoping that the BC players can do against Syracuse next week. That ball batted at the line of scrimmage by Pahopak and almost intercepted by Boston College. Pahopak broke it up.
We talked about on prior shows that Craig Hentrick has seen a sports psychologist and has some key words to make him relax and calm down on the field. You wonder if Tom Coughlin might make an appointment by the time this one's over.
Speaking of Hentrick, he is on to attempt his second field goal today. He was good from 37 yards earlier. That's his longest of the season, by the way, 37. This one will be 42 yards. On its way, and true. Craig Hentrick, punter and place kicker for the Irish, regarded by many as the best in the country, records his second field goal to up the margin to 47-0. Kevin McDougal, the junior quarterback out of Pompano Beach, Florida, warming up for the Irish. We expect to see him the next time Notre Dame has the ball. Here's the return to only the 15-yard line before Dukes is driven back by the Notre Dame special teamers. They were all over the football that time with Anthony Peterson down there first.
You know, Tom, I can't figure out if Boston College was just really overrated coming into this game, or if Notre Dame has advanced as far as it appears in this game. It seems that Stanford loss really woke them up, that it took some of the pressure off of this football team for the remainder of the season, because they have just been playing spectacular football of late.
Dukes with a nice run, put on a couple of moves, stumbled forward to the 30-yard line, give him 8 yards on that carry. Dukes held in check, of course, most of the afternoon by the Notre Dame defense.
He's averaging about 6 yards a carry this year, 6 yards a carry last year as a junior, two-time junior college All-American at Dean Junior College in Franklin, Massachusetts. Only has 4.6 speed, but there are a lot of great running backs in the National Football League with that kind of speed. Emmitt Smith, Marcus Allen, just to name a few.
Well, there's Reggie Brooks talking with some of his linemen. The ball belonging to Aaron Taylor. Pass by Foley is complete, short of the 40-yard line. It's Pete Klein, I think, that made the catch, his first of the day, and it's a BC first down.
Really, the biggest story of the afternoon is just the fact that Boston College was never able to get their running game going, averaging 270 yards a game on the ground. And as of the last time I checked, I think they had 10 yards in this one.
BC's fourth first down they just recorded. Notre Dame has racked up 22. Foley almost threw it right to Tom Carter, or no, Demetrius DeBose, excuse me. But it does fall incomplete. Let's go back to New York now. Jim Lampley, do you have another update for us?
Yes, I do, Tom. Let's give Fighting Gator Chris Collinsworth a little something to worry about. Florida has won 16 in a row at home under Steve Spurrier. Now on that Tommy Waters to Mark Montgomery touchdown pass, first play, fourth quarter, Southern Mississippi leads 20-17. The Golden Eagles going for yet another upset of an SEC team. They specialize in that, Tom.
They do indeed, Jim, and I thought Florida might have a rough time today after an emotional win over Georgia a week ago and then facing a non-conference opponent. Foley, good job escaping the rush, then short hopped the ball to Boyd.
It's been dodgeball for Glenn Foley all day. He has just about abandoned the idea of sitting in the pocket, and who can blame him? He's been getting ripped from all angles. As soon as he plants that back foot, he's been looking for somewhere to go. Hasn't been a good day for him today, but former BC assistant Dick Curry said that he could be in a class with Dan Marino and John Elway. We haven't seen much of that here this afternoon, but certainly has had a very good year.
BC 0 for 9 on third down conversions in this game. Total yards gained on third down of -1. Foley again runs for his life. Running out of time, but he's still on the loose. Throws all the way across the middle, and Burris colliding with Miller. No flags down, the ball incomplete. Burris has had some game. Scored a touchdown receiving.
You can't see down the field here, but Glenn Foley would love to throw this ball to anybody. He tried to throw it to Demetrius DeBose on the play before. I was watching it. There was nobody open. I mean, there were two guys on every one of BC's receivers. The best thing that he could have done is just taken it, thrown it out of bounds, go over and get a little cup of Gatorade, and move on, worry about Syracuse next week.
Miller, who fumbled the last punt by Beckley, holds on to this one and takes it to the 31-yard line. Well, more football coming your way on NBC tomorrow. The professional variety, of course. It all begins with NFL Live at 12:30 Eastern Time. Don't forget that O.J. Simpson interview with the benched Randall Cunningham tomorrow. There's a list of the games you'll see. First half of the doubleheader, the Raiders against the Eagles, or Cleveland, Houston, Miami, Indianapolis. Second half of the doubleheader, maybe the big one between Pittsburgh, surprise leader in the AFC Central, against the powerful Buffalo Bills, or San Diego, Kansas City, the Jets, and Denver. All coming up tomorrow here on NBC. Quarterback change for the Irish, as expected. Kevin McDougal now under center. 6'2", 182-pound junior from Pompano Beach, Florida. Handing off to Ray Zellers on that first down.
Ray Zellers.
As we come to the end of the third quarter of play. A third quarter that saw Lou Holt's Irish add to their commanding lead over Boston College. That's the end of the third quarter. Back after a word from your local station. Productive afternoon for Rick Meyer, who has donned the baseball cap. His work is done. 13 of 18, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He scored a touchdown running, passed for a couple, and with that total today, he now needs only 6 yards of total offense to pass Steve Berline for the all-time Notre Dame total offense record.
And he said he was happy this week was over with. He had 3 exams, was about to graduate at the end of the semester. He said, it's all downhill for me now.
We asked him what he was going to do in the spring when he has graduated from school, and he said, no, lay on the beach, go surfing. I have a feeling, too, he'll be contemplating what he's going to do with all that money after the pro draft.
There should be plenty of that. Now Kevin McDougal in the game at quarterback, and he's had a pretty terrific year himself. He's only had the chance to throw the ball 8 times, but he's completed 6 of those for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns. That was the reason I was surprised he didn't get in the ball game earlier. This is probably going to be the Notre Dame quarterback next year, and here's the perfect opportunity to let him gain some experience.
You're going to show me a shot of me taking off the field.
McDougal has hit 6 of 8 passes on the season, 3 of them for touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown against Purdue.
You know what that's about, I believe. He's saying, you run the play that I call. McDougal got up to the line of scrimmage and tried to audible out of the play that Lou Holtz had called, and Lou didn't like it. He came out pointing the finger and saying, I'm the coach, you're the player, you will do what I say.
A la Mike Ditka. Don't be checking off my plays.
I don't know if Jim Harbaugh will ever check off again.
McDougal steps up into the pocket and hits Derek Mays, the freshman. Mays, number 1. He has a necklace that has the number 1 around it. His parents have been to every game Derek has played, home and away, since he was in the 2nd grade. Yes, they have reservations for the Southern Cal game later on. In fact, this past February, he signed with Notre Dame, and by April, his parents had reservations and tickets for all the away games. Haven't missed a game since the 2nd grade.
He really doesn't have great speed, but really has a knack for making big plays. Has 7 catches coming into this game, 3 touchdowns, 29 yards per catch, the average.
Was in trouble this time, ran away from it and tossed it incomplete. Zeller's the intended receiver, and Pahopek was the man that was all over Kevin McDougal.
Mike Marinaro really got the initial penetration, and Marinaro, number 62, his nickname is Muscles. This is a story I heard when I was back in Boston this week. Said he got the nickname as a freshman when he was hitting the blocking sled. He hit it, and the sled fell apart. It just they said it just crumbled on the ground, so they called him Muscles.
Marinaro has a brother that plays for Michigan, his brother Joe, who was in here earlier this season, another Tony that played for Dayton. And isn't he related to Ed Marinaro, the of Cornell and acting fame?
So distant.
Mays cuts back. Garrett Mays just tripped up at the 15-yard line. Chris Sullivan got a hand on his foot to trip him up. It still went for 40 yards to Mays, who said since he was 3 or 4 years old, he wanted to win the Heisman Trophy. He looked it up in the encyclopedia. Yes, he knew what it was.
I really give Chris Sullivan, number 93 from Boston College, a lot of credit. Look at him coming from his right end position, 40 yards down the field to catch a wide receiver. You're down 47-0, but that young man, Chris Sullivan, is all heart. He's not giving up.
2 catches, 56 yards for Mays, who continues to be among the more productive members of the Notre Dame receiving corps. Might have been premature movement by Notre Dame. It looked like Leon Wallace might have moved prematurely.
Dead ball, false start. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Look at the Boston College defense. They're all just kind of walking around with their heads down. This is a team that thought they were playing for a shot at the national championship today. I mean, it's hard to imagine that this team with the record that they had coming in, undefeated, only 1 tie, getting blown out 47-0 at this point in the game.
Becton. Lee Becton is the heir apparent to Reggie Brooks' tailback spot, and we've seen him flash his stuff. In fact, he is the 3rd leading rusher this season for Notre Dame. Former North Carolina Offensive Player of the Year as a senior in high school in Arnold, North Carolina. Gained over 2,000 yards, 32 touchdowns. In fact, had over 5,000 career yards there, 87 career touchdowns.
And he sat out the BYU game with a hamstring pull, and Lou Holt said he didn't think that Becton was fast enough to pull a hamstring.
Zellers breaks free for a moment, down to the 8-yard line. Notre Dame on the verge of scoring again with 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Let's go to New York and check in with Jim Lampley.
All right, Tom, Michigan has put the finishing touches on a 40-7 win over Northwestern. Little tribute here to Derek Alexander. This one of 8 Alexander touchdowns this year on plays of 30 or more yards. Desmond Howard had 7 of them last year. That a touchdown pass from Gerbach in the first half. Again, the final, Wolverines 40, Northwestern 7, the 19th straight Big Ten win for Michigan.
All right, Jim. Both Notre Dame and Boston College defeating Northwestern this season. McDougal to the 2. In fact, when you looked at common opponents coming into the game, there were 3 of them. Notre Dame had beaten them all, but Boston College had beaten them all and shut them all out. That's why, one of the reasons why this 47-0 count is so shocking.
You know, one of the unfortunate things after seeing that Michigan highlight is that the Rose Bowl is not part of the bowl coalition, so that we're not going to be able to see a matchup between really what has been the 2 best teams in the country for the past 2 years, Washington and Miami. I know there are going to be others who will argue that point. There are some other undefeated teams in college football right now, but perhaps as this coalition grows and Lou Holtz upset about something else, I don't know what this would be. As the coalition grows, maybe they'll find a way to work the Rose Bowl in as well.
Notre Dame forced to use a timeout.
Yeah, have your attention, please.
And here's a lecture from Lou Holtz. Not happy that his team is not executing, even though they do have some second stringers in there.
And use a good measure of caution and common sense. Remember,
let's go down to John Dockery.
Not snow on the road, it's on a plate just behind the wheel.
You know, Tom, there was a lot of happenings here at halftime at Notre Dame Stadium. They actually recreated a game from 1974 for a feature-length movie they're doing on a Notre Dame player named Rudy, who actually only played one play and got into it. But they actually recreated it here with all of the players from the Georgia Tech team and from the Notre Dame team back in 1974 for this feature-length movie. And Jason Miller is one of the stars of that movie. Of course, you remember Jason Miller from The Exorcist and championship season. Jason, what's the movie all about?
Well, the movie's about a boy that achieves his dreams against all odds. I play Ara Parsegian, and he comes to me and asks to be on the football team. He's 5'6", he's 150 pounds. I say, what are you, crazy? I mean, I play with guys 6'5", 250. They're my players. He says, all I want is a chance, coach. So Parsegian gives him a chance.
And he gets in the game and makes a sack. Let's get back to the game now, Tom.
Backup fullback with his first touchdown of the season.
He's one of the few fullbacks in the country that you will see with the kind of speed that he has. He was both the 100 and 200 meters champ in high school. In fact, has never been beaten in the 200 meters, and Boston College has not been beaten this year until now, and they have been thrashed.
Backup kicker Pendergast kicks it through the uprights for the extra point. Here's the touchdown again as Dean Lytle on the handoff from McDougal totes it across the goal line.
And the big thing now for Boston College and for Tom Coughlin is to try and get this thing pieced back together. They play Syracuse next week. They're still very much in the hunt for a January 1 bowl game. But this is the kind of game that can just destroy a young team emotionally.
It's now 54-0.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Magnavox. Smart choices for smart people. The ingenious product from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart. By State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By HP LaserJet printers. If it isn't a LaserJet, it's only a laser printer. And by Chevy Trucks. The most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Not in their worst nightmare could Boston College fans have envisioned this. 56 total yards in the game for BC. The Notre Dame juggernaut 553 as Pendergast kicks off. Taken by Justice Smith. Tripped up at the 25 as the flags come flying.
There's a flag.
Sort out the penalty.
Once again, BC going to have a chance to start from their 10.
Well, before that last Notre Dame touchdown, we were telling the story about the feature film Rudy being shot here at halftime. And Doc, continue with your story.
You know, Tom, it's the first feature-length film shot here at Notre Dame since the 30s when they did Knute Rockne All-American. Remember Ronald Reagan and company? Well, Jason Miller, we were talking about the human side of the story of Rudy. It sounds a little like a Hoosiers story.
Well, it is a Hoosier story. I mean, it's just, all the kid says is give me a chance. He has none of the abilities, none of the credentials to be a football player. And he plays for Notre Dame, and he gets in one game for one play. And he does something quite extraordinary.
And we'll have to watch the movie to find out what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, next spring, TriStar Pictures. Thank you, Jason.
I say put him in now. Give him a shot. Put Rudy back in the game. Let's see what he can do against the big boys.
Well, another documentary. John Dockery helping us through the final 10 minutes of this one, which is 54-0. Foley's pass low, but caught. Yes or no?
No.
Incomplete.
Rick Minner, we've talked so much about him, and what a comeback for this Notre Dame defense from where they started at the beginning of the year. He said that the first 3 or 4 games, it was like Murphy's Law, that one guy would break down on an assignment and the quarterback would automatically find that hole in his defense. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Notre Dame's defense early, but this has been an unbelievable performance by his squad.
Foley still at quarterback. This is his 21st pass of the game and only his 6th completion. It's to Pete Mitchell.
Pete Mitchell really was the difference in the Penn State win. You know, don't forget, this is a Boston College team that went in, beat Penn State in their home park. That man, Pete Mitchell, had 2 touchdown passes right before the first half, and that's what really propelled Boston College onto the national scene. Some of the other teams that they had beaten, not nearly that impressive, but then the win over Boston College, everybody thought they were for real.
Fair catch? No. Miller tried to run with it, but got nowhere. What must Penn State be thinking? They lost to Boston College. They got to come in here next week.
I'm not sure that Notre Dame isn't one of the top teams in the country right now. They really have turned the season around.
Well, that was the game plan you saw in the back pocket of Lou Holtz.
You may have that one framed.
I'd say it worked to perfection. Best game of the season by far by the Irish, and against a top 10 team, Boston College. Paul Fela is the 3rd Notre Dame quarterback we've seen today now. Fela, the sophomore out of Sewickley, Pennsylvania. Let's go down the sideline again, and John Dockery.
So I've been talking about the bowl picture, and I have Jim Brock from the Mobile Cotton Bowl here, and he's going to try and put all this into focus. What does a win like this today for Notre Dame mean in terms of the bowl picture?
Well, John, of course, this is a great afternoon for Notre Dame. I think the score is a lot more than a lot of people expected, but I look for Notre Dame to play well. I don't know where BC now hangs in the coalition, if they stay in Coalition 1 or Coalition 2, but in my judgment, either Notre Dame or Florida State, who already has cinched the ACC championship, and Miami, if they win out, I think those 3 football teams will either be in Dallas or New Orleans or Miami. And by the way, I want to say on behalf of the Mobile Cotton Bowl, we're real pleased to be on NBC. I think it's great for us, too.
Aren't you kind? And I didn't tell you to say that. I really didn't. What about BC now? Terrible loss for them. They were undefeated coming in here. They play Syracuse next week and finish up with Army. Where are they in terms of the bowl?
That's their big game next week is with Syracuse, because it's a conference game, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. And then Syracuse, after they play BC, then they got to host Miami. So I think the Big East is pretty wide open right now. And again, perhaps BC can work itself and stay in the coalition.
If they can bounce back after a terrible loss today. Jim Brock, Cotton Bowl, thank you very much.
I've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun with fans from BC and Notre Dame, old Paul de Highland, a bunch of guys like it. I tell you, it's been fun for me because of BC and Notre Dame, what they've done for the Mobile Cotton Bowl. Again, we're glad to be on NBC.
Terrific. Always nice visiting with you. Tom?
All right, John. Ask Jim if we can borrow that tie next week.
Let's give him the microphone. He can finish up this final 8 minutes or so here. But he talked about the Big East. They play a full conference schedule next year. All 8 teams will play each other. This year they weren't able to do that. BC only playing against 4 other teams in the Big East. But certainly Miami will become the power there. But they did have coming into this game 3 Big East teams in the top 10. Miami, Syracuse, and BC. You've got to think, though, that that will be the end of the top 10 run for Tom Coughlin's team.
Rick Dozano and Charles Stafford getting some playing time in the backfield behind Paul Fela. Imperative now for the Eagles to bounce back in a game that looms exceedingly large next week against Big East foe Syracuse. A tough order. That game will be at the Heights, Chestnut Hill, BC campus. Down the sideline, Fela's pass too far for the intended receiver, William Pollard. Doc, keep us going. What do you got down there?
You know, Tom, there was a little confusion earlier in the day. Actually, the Notre Dame people weren't exactly sure, neither was Boston College. Notre Dame, with this win, number 7, is guaranteed one of the Big 4 bowls in the coalition, the way it works. 7 wins, you're guaranteed. 6 wins, it would have been the option for them to go, should they just finish with 6 wins, or for the bowls to reject them. But now, with 7 wins, it's the orange, it's the cotton, it's the fiesta, or the sugar, one of those, as Jim Brock was talking about.
Here is a rare Notre Dame punt. And down at the 1-yard line. What else can work for the Irish today? Tom Carter on special teams, the starting cornerback. But there is a flag down.
If you're wondering, that is a legal play. Tom Carter has every right to catch the ball, and this one will come back. But he has every right to catch the ball, provided there is not a BC player in the area trying to catch it. So that is a perfectly legal play by Tom Carter.
Brent Bosnowski hanging it up, and Carter right under it.
Kicking team. 5-yard penalty, previous spot. Replay of fourth down.
It's a little like Rudy coming off the field. And they carry him off the...
Well, he's not going to get a chance to punt again. Hendrick is on now. I don't think he'd fake it here, do you?
Somebody would shoot Lou Holtz if he faked this one.
6:55 left in the game, in case you were wondering. 54-0. Beautiful kick by Hendrick. The punt hits the end zone on the fly, just about a yard deep. He just miscalculated by a yard or two of getting it inside the 1-yard line. We'll be back. Jerome Bettis is finished for the day. He's headed toward the Notre Dame locker room. Hampered by a sore ankle. Didn't start the game, but played. Scored a touchdown.
I think Tom Coughlin would like to go with it.
So Jerome Bettis headed up the tunnel toward the Notre Dame locker room. 6:47 left in the game. The Irish putting the game away early. Fourth quarter to be exact. They were ahead 21-0. Foley's pass is caught. Reception made by Ivan Boyd. That'll be a BC first down. Foley has hit 7 of 22 now.
And part of the reason that perhaps this Notre Dame defense has been playing so much better, as you see Bettis heading up the tunnel.
He did play like a champion today.
Yes, indeed he did. Is partly because of the play of Bobby Taylor, number 21, their free safety. Rick Minner said that young man, a freshman, has made some just unbelievable plays for the Fighting Irish.
Drop play.
Right on cue.
Chucky Dukes still running hard
as Bobby Taylor made the tackle. And Lou Holtz said about Bobby Taylor that he knew he was going to be a good player when he was recruited, but he had no idea that he would play as well as he has, especially as just a freshman. He was named the top free safety prospect in the country coming out, and of course was a basketball player, the 5A Texas basketball player of the year, may play some here at Notre Dame.
Says if his grades are okay, he's going to join John McLeod's team as a walk-on. His pass complete to Keith Miller, who's immediately dropped in his tracks by John Covington. Bobby Taylor, the outstanding freshman, got a start at cornerback when Greg Lane was injured. Here's Reggie Brooks following Bettis to try to beat the traffic out of Notre Dame Stadium.
They're just going to go off one at a time, I guess, today. Thunder already left. Lightning now leaving. Another great game by Reggie Brooks.
Went over the 1,000-yard rushing mark for the season today, the first ever under Lou Holtz at Notre Dame.
Face mask call there. Brian Radigan, and he knew it.
Going back to your story about Bobby Taylor, he was an outstanding basketball player, as you said, the Texas 5A Player of the Year, scored over 1,200 career points. His father, Robert, won the silver medal in the 100-meter dash at the 1972 Olympics and was on the gold medal, winning 4x100 relay team. He was telling us, though, that he never much liked track. It was always basketball and football. He had some big-time basketball scholarship offers.
As Florida's making a little comeback as they retook the lead. Thank you very much.
Foley to the air again, looking for the end zone. And dropped just at the last second. Diving attempt made by Ivan Boyd. He just couldn't hold on. Boyd laid his body out but couldn't quite hold on to it.
The hardest part about making a diving catch is once it hits your hands, trying to pull it in fast enough before you hit the ground, because that'll knock it out. As you saw Boyd there, he tried to snap it back into his body but didn't quite have control over it.
Irish still have their secondary mainstays in there. Carter, Burris, Taylor, Lane, Covington's in. Dukes to the 25, stopped by Justin Goheen.
We talked about the Cotton Bowl a little bit earlier. Who do you expect to see in that? I guess Notre Dame would be the front runner now there. Maybe Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Looks like the sugar would probably be Alabama if they continue to win against Miami. I don't know exactly how this whole thing will fall out, but it's good to see the bowl coalition. I always thought that was a good idea, trying to match up the top teams in the country.
Here's the pitch. It's a wall of Irish tackles and fumbles. Was he down? No, it looks like Notre Dame is recovering. One thing good about the bowl coalition is we don't have all those bowls jumping to beat the deadline to line teams up. That was really a mess. At least now it's going to some sort of formula. And as you said, as we look at Dukes fumbling the football.
This has been a tough day all the way around for Boston College. Chucky Dukes trying to spin, make a little more yardage, trying to put something on the board for BC. Sometimes when you have one of these days, it just never ends until you get on the airplane.
Imagine there have been a few little quick glances at the clock that have taken place the last few minutes. As we glance, it's just over 4 minutes left. You can see it.
It's just so embarrassing. Really at all levels of playing football, you're part of a blowout.
Were you ever on a team whipped this badly?
Oh yeah. I can remember Bear Bryant and playing against Alabama a couple of years. They won the national championship, and literally you just sit there on the bench and wait for the scoreboard to click one more time, get up, and you try and do the best you can. You just can't wait for it to get over.
Well, these teams will be anxiously awaiting December 6th when that bowl coalition formula will take effect based on the Associated Press poll. And as you said, as things stand now, we would figure if Alabama can survive that new SEC championship game to go to the Sugar Bowl, the highest ranked opponent would be Miami. Ironic, though, in the first year of the bowl coalition, it may be the Rose Bowl between Michigan and Washington that decides the national championship. Welcome to stay tuned after the game for the Notre Dame Saturday post-game show. Jim Lampley said to update you on all the scores and highlights from this busy Saturday in college football. He'll also help to sort out that prospective bowl picture for you. It's all coming up after the game here at Notre Dame Stadium. And some oohs and ahs, I'm sure, at stadiums around the country as this score was announced. It was the matchup of the day. Two top 10 teams, 8th-ranked Notre Dame, once beaten, once tied, against unbeaten, once tied Boston College. And Lou is still in the game, folks. Just tossed his headphones down in disgust. Kubiyama deep to await this punt. Bounces straight up in the air and will be downed at about the 31. What about the prospects for Notre Dame now? By far their best showing of the season. We'll talk about the remaining 2 games for the Irish when we come back. Well, it's been a day of celebration for the Irish of Notre Dame. They rack up their 7th victory of the season. They're assured now of a New Year's Day bowl game, and they have a game here against Penn State next week, and then on the road to Southern Cal. They'll be substantial favorites over the Nittany Lions, especially after this win today, but that's going to be a tough game at Southern Cal, their old rival.
Yeah, and I believe it's the 100th year anniversary at USC, and a lot of people are saying that the Notre Dame game is the one that they're getting all jacked up about. So Notre Dame, as always, they'll have a lot of people excited when they come out to play, and that game has been so rich in tradition over the years. It seems appropriate that they would play out there on this 100th year anniversary.
And I think that in this game we saw the Notre Dame team that everyone expected to see all season long. This is the team that was going to contend for the national championship.
Yeah, and Lou Holtz really almost bitter in a way that so much pressure was placed on him and this football team during the course of the season. But let's face it, when you return the likes of Rick Meyer and Jerome Bettis and Reggie Brooks and Demetrius DeBose, the expectations should have been high. And really, had they played like this on the defensive side of the ball for the first half of the season, they may well be playing for a national championship at this point. Because offensively, they've been almost unstoppable all year. Their problems have been with the defense.
Well, as we also said to start the program, as we face this Notre Dame crossroads, they still have excellent prospects. Look at the total yardage, 576 for the Irish. If they can sweep their last three, and this is the first of those three, if they can win their bowl game, their New Year's Day bowl, they have a chance to finish right in the top 5 in the country.
But there are 4 undefeated, untied teams as we speak.
Those would be Washington, Miami, Alabama, Texas A&M. Bobby Taylor makes the tackle there as we stop the clock after the first down at 2 minutes.
Boy, and what a job Gene Stallings has done in Alabama. Defensively, they are just ferocious. In the first half, it seems like they've only given up, I think, 7, 10, 14 points, something like that. Kind of the forgotten team in the NCAA this year.
Alabama, the #1 defensive team, total defense in college football. As we mentioned a few minutes ago, they have something new. They'll have to face an SEC championship game. Here's a pass wide open. BC trying desperately to get on the scoreboard and stop. Bobby Taylor grabbed Greg Grice before he could make it into the end zone. He stopped at the 7-yard line.
Greg Grice continues to be a big play man for BC. His first reception ever as a collegiate went for a 60-yard touchdown against Rutgers. Had only 7 catches coming into this game, 3 of those for touchdowns. And now this Notre Dame crowd is going to get into it. They want the shutout. They don't want the other Catholic university in Division I football to get on the board.
First and goal from the 8 for BC. Again, straight ahead to David Green, and he's stopped at the 4-yard line by Justin Goheen. Clock continues to tick away. There's Demetrius DuBose, the starting linebacker, one of the keys on the defensive unit for Notre Dame, watching from the sideline. And Coughlin, I think, says call timeout. And let's try to get a touchdown.
Well, this is important to BC. If they can at least stick it in, they'll have something to smile about, something to talk about on the way home. This has been an embarrassing day for Tom Coughlin and this entire BC team. So many people in the Boston area were fired up about it. When I was there earlier this week, they were saying that people were getting in their cars and driving to Notre Dame, didn't even have tickets. They had nowhere to go, nowhere to stay. They just wanted to be a part of the atmosphere. The atmosphere has been very unpleasant thus far for the BC faithful.
Well, it's been tough to pick players of the game in this one for different reasons. A wealth of riches for Notre Dame and tough to find an MVP from Boston College. But here's what we've come up with. Today's Chevrolet players of the game. Reggie Brooks of Notre Dame. It's been a tradition almost every game we do. He's the MVP. He went over 1,000 yards rushing today. And Jason Pahopek of Boston College, who had a sack and knocked a pass down at the line of scrimmage. They are Chevrolet players of the game. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute $2,000 to the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators for disbursement to deserving college students so that they may continue their education.
You think we can convince anybody that it's a tie ball game with 1:01 to go? The crowd is into it.
Foley's pass for the touchdown to Mitchell. Finally, something to cheer about for the BC faithful. Will that be a building block toward that game with Syracuse? Possibly. Something
little
teeny,
something
tiny
building block. You always like to see a team that will at least finish strong. You know, everybody gets blown out. I don't care where you're playing, for which team. Eventually, you'll face this kind of a blowout. But the first thing the coaching staff from BC will want to know tomorrow when they watch those films, did anybody quit? Did they lay down? And at least offensively, you can say that they fought to the very end.
Sean Wright for the extra point. Left-footed, barefooted kicker. Boots it through the upright. Right through the uprights to make it 7 for Boston College after this pass to Mitchell.
This is the kind of thing that Boston College had been doing all season long, working the tight end. Mitchell, their top receiver, but just really never got their offense underway at all today.
Well, the next chapter in this stretch drive by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will unfold next week. Final home game for the Irish seniors as they face the Penn State Nittany Lions. We'll have the telecast for you starting at 1 o'clock Eastern time with our Notre Dame Saturday pregame show. Penn State and Notre Dame, final Irish home game of the season next week here on NBC.
I think we ought to give the MVP to that barefooted kicker. If I walk out there on a day like this, I'm over here shivering and shaking.
You don't think he's been barefoot over there the whole game waiting for this game?
No, he's been able to leave his shoe on for a long time. He may be the warmest guy in the field. Why do they do that? Why do they take their shoes off to kick? I've never understood it.
Now, you're asking the wrong man, but I'd say the feel of the football.
The feel of the football. Well, you put a shoe on here.
The feet have to be tough, I'd say that, to smack that football on a cold day.
Here we go, a little onside kick action now. This was always the worst part. I was a part of a few blowouts the other way, but I was always the guy on the far side of the hands team. It was demolition derby time. They kick it, the ball takes 1, 2 hops, kick straight up in the air, and then you've got to jump up in the air as 17 guys hit you in the ribs. This is the worst part of the game. Didn't matter if we were winning by 50 points or not. You sit there and you say, I know I am about to die. There it goes. Man, that's a good idea. Good job. Attaboy. Lucky. Of course, that's a good idea. Put a linebacker over there. They won't hit a linebacker as hard.
Jeremy Naw just wrapped up on it. And we have 55 seconds left in this one. 54-7. Notre Dame taking control early and blasting Boston College out of the water. A shocking game in terms of the margin for the Fighting Irish. Matt Johnson is the 4th Notre Dame quarterback of the day.
You know, it's been one of those years for the Boston sports fans. The Red Sox finished last in their division. They lose Larry Bird during the course of the season. Of course, the Patriots haven't won a football game yet. All their interest and hopes were riding on this Boston College team, and especially this one game. And once again, they've had the rugs pulled out from underneath them.
Well, the Eagles will need the support of those Boston fans if they're to regroup and get ready for the game against Syracuse next week. Boston College will dip to 7-1-1 on the season, and Notre Dame will improve to 7-1-1. Let's go down on the field to John Dockery. John?
Handshake.
There's the handshake.
We just had a day. That's up. Back it up.
Once again, a reminder following the band's post-game performance. Filming for the Rudy will continue.
Coach, what brought it all together today? All of a sudden, the team just seemed to play spectacularly.
Other things been coming. We've played good football. Our defense has been coming. Our defense played well. Offensively, you know, it's just been a case where you see good things happening in practice. Some of the things we did today, we've been working on for a while, but just unveiled it today. We just caught Boston College or they caught us on the wrong day. I mean, you have days like this. What I'm worried about now is you can't maintain this type of level. This was a football team that got very high and emotional for this game, and it's something we don't want to do because next week Penn State's going to be after us. They were open this week.
And then USC after that. You had 37-0 in that third quarter. Did you feel you had to make a statement by running that punt on fourth down?
No, I didn't think that was at all. We did want people to know we do have a fake punt. That was all. We weren't trying to make a statement by any stretch of imagination. We're involved in a football game. If we got 37.5, they could get 37.5, and it just happened to work out. You know, I'm happy for our team. I thought our team played well, and
they certainly deserve it.
One last question, Coach. You know, the way the polls work and the system works these days, do you feel the teams have to run it up in order to make a statement to move up in the polls? Do you feel?
No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. We didn't run this sucker up. I mean, we had 37 at halftime. We played the fourth inch, so we aren't going to have that. I think it's unfortunate people look at scoring. But if we wanted to run that sucker up, I mean, we could have done it today. We might play Boston College tomorrow, and Boston College would beat us. I mean, they're a very good football team. I give them tremendous. This happened to be our day. But we weren't trying to make a statement by any stretch of the imagination.
Congratulations, Coach. Hannah Storm, now over to you.
All right, I'm standing here with Rick Meyer, but we got a quick report on your teammate, Reggie Brooks, who left the game early. He actually had some problems with his stomach. He is getting ill in the locker room, but I think he made the Boston College Eagles pretty ill today. Can you comment on his performance? It was
terrific. He had a great day. He's had a great season. He's exciting to watch, and he just does a lot. He makes things happen when it's not even a hole for him. So I hope he's all right, but I'm sure he'll be all right. You had a great day as well. One rushing touchdown. You passed for 3 TDs. Was it easier than you thought against the 9th-ranked team in the country? I wouldn't call it easy, but I think, I had a lot of help, and a lot of guys did their jobs, and things just worked out for us well. Rick, I know you came back this season hoping for the Heisman Trophy, hoping for a national championship. With the tie to Michigan and the loss to Stanford, those hopes were dashed. But did that take some of the pressure off of you? Have you been able to relax the last few weeks? Yeah, I think so a little bit, but now, look back now, you think the Stanford game really hurts us because I feel like we're one of the top teams in the country right now, but I don't know if we'll get a chance to win this thing, but I think we're in good shape, and we're playing the best ball we have. It seems as if you've really hit your stride over the last 4 games. Do you think you've reestablished yourself as the top quarterback in the nation? I don't know about that. I'm just trying to play my game, and we're not going to throw it 100 times a game, but we're going to throw enough to complete some passes and try to win, and offensively, we've done some good things all year, scored a lot of points, and now the defense is coming around. They're strong, so I think we're ready to play anybody. All right, thanks a lot. Thank you. Rick Meyer, 13 of 18 today for 180 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing, and 1 interception.
All right, Hannah, final score, Notre Dame 54, Boston College 7. Jim Lampley, it's hard to imagine a team playing any better than Notre Dame did this afternoon against the Eagles of Boston College, 54-7.
Indeed, Tom Hammond deflating much of the drama we would have hoped for in South Bend. But there is plenty of drama across the country in college football today, and we'll be back to bring it to you in just a moment. A comeback drama in Gainesville, Florida, a major upset in the Southwest Conference, Washington and Arizona in progress, as are Alabama and LSU. We'll have all the scores and highlights when we bring you back on Notre Dame Saturday right after these words from your local stations.